Chapter 44:18. As expected, Ingpa continued, although the Star Moon Palace is an ancient ruin that many humans and demons in the three continents know about, the news of the Star Moon Palace's appearance is extremely secretive. Everyone wants to snatch the right to enter the Star Moon Palace. Everyone wants to search for opportunities in the Star Moon Palace. Once any human or demon obtains the news, they won't tell anyone else. It is only in the recent decades that the continuous merchant union has grown bigger and bigger, and the information it has obtained has also increased. This junior is qualified to know some of the Star Moon Palace's secrets. However, even so, Junior only knows that the Star Moon Palace may appear in the Thousand Demons' Sacred Territory's easternmost region in a few months. As for the specific location and time, Junior is not particularly clear. Hearing this, Xiaohua hesitated. He had thought that the Star Moon Palace had opened long ago, so he had thrown the matter of the Star Moon Palace to the back of his mind. According to his plan, he was prepared to bring the 200,000 Fortune Gate disciples back to the hidden immortal mainland. However, the Star Moon Palace was about to open, and he had previously made an agreement with Do Shanjun to follow him into the Star Moon Palace. Thus, he had no choice but to give up on returning to the hidden immortal mainland and head to the Thousand Demons' Sacred Territory's easternmost region. Of course, Xiaohua was hesitant because he had returned to the three continents in a high-profile manner. First, he had defeated the 4 Sea Dragon Kings and destroyed the Southern Sea Dragon Palace. Then, he had defeated the demonic beast race's 3 great sages and massacred Bai Qingyu. This would definitely attract the attention of the Immortal Palace. He could not guarantee that Sun Wu would be able to persuade the Immortal Emperor to not attack the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range. If he went to the Star Moon Palace, the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range might be destroyed. As for whether he would go to the Star Moon Palace, he did not hesitate at all. This was because Do Shanjun's help to him was simply too great. Not to mention the lightning cultivation method, not to mention the Crimson Infant technique, just the darkness breaking pill, void bearing pill, lotus connecting pill, and jade heaven pill that Do Shanjun had given Xiaohua in the stargazing pavilion in Yuling Bay, as well as the pill formulas that they had refined, had played an extremely crucial role in Xiaohua's cultivation. The darkness-breaking pill was a necessary pill to break through the bottleneck of the nascent soul realm and enter the spirit-severing realm. The void-bearing pill was used to break through to the void refinement realm, the lotus-connecting pill was used to break through to the unity realm, and the jade heaven pill was used to break through to the Ma-ascension realm. Without these medicinal pills, Xiaohua would have wasted the 20,000 years in the heavenly prison, and it would be impossible for him to reach the Desheng stage at this time. Moreover, Do Shanjun had already made it clear that he would not let Xiaohua do anything that went against Xiaohua's conscience. In fact, the most reassuring thing for Xiaohua was that Do Shanjun's words had revealed some secrets. The Grand Mist Ancestor, who was currently in the limelight, seemed to have received Do Shanjun's help, and the Grand Mist Ancestor did not repay Do Shanjun in the end. Even so, Do Shanjun did not withdraw his help to the Grand Mist Ancestor, nor did he punish the Grand Mist Ancestor. Do Shanjun was so magnanimous, presumably, he wouldn't have any schemes against Xiaohua. Xiaohua was also willing to work for such a person. In particular, the words that Do Shanjun asked Bo to bring to Xiaohua caused Xiaohua's hesitation to quickly turn into a decision. Xiaohua understood that Do Shanjun's remarkable abilities far exceeded his imagination. Even though he was already a Desheng stage cultivator, he still had not completely comprehended the jade slip that Do Shanjun gave him. That Crimson Infant technique still had a large part of it that he did not understand. Previously, when Xiaohua was in the spirit-severing stage, he might not have understood, but now that he was a supreme cultivator of the 3 mainlands, how could he not know that this Crimson Infant technique was definitely not a cultivation technique from the cultivation world? In other words, Do Shanjun was definitely not a cultivator from the cultivation world. He must have come from the upper realm. Of course, whether this upper realm was the ruins or the desolate continent that Xiaohua had been to before, Xiaohua did not know. Since that was the case, Xiaohua could infer that if there were no rules of the 3 mainlands, Do Shanjun's strength would far surpass his by a lot. Xiaohua himself knew how to predict the future, and he would have some enlightenment on a whim. Then Do Shanjun would definitely have an even more mysterious technique to divine the future. In that case, Do Shanjun did not put that sentence in the jade eyes, and instead asked Ingpa to bring it to him. It meant that he wanted Xiaohua to take it seriously. Xiaohua even vaguely felt that the Do Shanjun from 200 years ago should have already divined that only Ingpa could bring the jade eyes to him 200 years later, which was why he paid a visit to Ingpa. Do Shanjun had already taken it seriously, and had already made it clear that this was his last chance, and Xiaohua was also his only hope, so how could Xiaohua not fulfill his promise? He. Xiaohua made a decision, and then smiled as he thought, even if Sun Jian can't persuade immortal Emperor Gaochen, isn't there still Xian in the immortal palace? With such a big commotion in the soaring Dragon Mountain range, how could she not know? With a little advice from her, immortal Emperor Gaochen will definitely think about it, and he will definitely understand the importance of this Shao to Confucian cultivators. The so-called true Confucian, isn't it to search for the 5 Qis unification's cultivation technique, to search for the foundation of Xiantian true Qi? At this time, Ingpa smiled and said, Master Shao, in this junior's opinion, now that Master Zhao's cultivation is so profound, I'm afraid there's no need for you to go to the Star Moon Palace. On the other hand, the Fortune Gate's 7th and 8th grade disciples need to go to the Star Moon Palace to try their luck. Opportunities. Xiaohua smiled. In terms of opportunities, could the Star Moon Palace compare to the ruins and the desolate continent? The opportunities that Lu Yi and the others had in the upper realm were many times more than the Star Moon Palace. Xiaohua's own accumulation in the upper realm was only completed at the moment of life and death. Lu Yi and the others didn't know how long it would take for them to fully comprehend those accumulations, so there was really no need for them to go to the Star Moon Palace. Thus, Xiaohua replied, it's a pity that they've already rushed back to the soaring Dragon Mountain range, so I'm afraid they don't have time to go to the Star Moon Palace. That's true. Ingpa slapped his own forehead and smiled. The soaring Dragon Mountain range might be attacked by the Immortal Palace. This junior forgot about that. Hearing this, Xiaohua's heart moved, and he asked again, what about nascent soul cultivators? Are they suitable to go to the Star Moon Palace? Of course they're suitable. Ingpa smiled and said, the 7th or 8th grade essence force that this junior mentioned in the previous 3 continents referred to the Confucian cultivators and the demonic beast race. How could there be 7th or 8th grade essence force cultivators in the Dao sect? Only 3rd or 4th grade essence force cultivators would go. It's just that there are very few Dao sect cultivators who know this kind of secret information. All right. Xiaohua nodded and said, ask the elders in the clan to return to the Thunder ship first, I have something to tell you. Seeing that Xiaohua had something to entrust to him, Ingpo was extremely happy and led the elders back to the Thunder ship. After Ingpo left, Xiaohua asked Xiong Yi, Prince Lan, Ao Zhantian, Su Tingzi, and the other nascent soul disciples to come over. After thinking for a while, he also called Zhai Xingzi and the others over. Everyone didn't know what was going on, so they stood at the side and listened respectfully. After Ingpa returned, Xiaohua spoke, I have something to discuss with all of you, and I want to hear your opinions. Xiong Yi was surprised. He glanced at Prince Lan and the others and said, Master, please speak. Zhai Xingzi exchanged glances with Zhang Daoran and nodded, Spiritual Master, please speak. Xiaohua told them about the Star Moon Palace, and finally said, I'm preparing to head to the extreme east of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm to explore the Star Moon Palace, and I want to ask your opinions if you're willing to go together. Of course, I don't need to say more about the dangers of the Star Moon Palace, all of you should know. Therefore, if I can protect all of you in the Star Moon Palace, I will definitely do so. If I can't, then it means that your fate hasn't arrived. Master. Prince Lan hurriedly asked, if we go to the Star Moon Palace, what about the Fortune Gate's disciples? Do you want Black Bear and the others to bring them back? No. Xiaohua shook his head and said, Black Bear, White Lion, and Golden Eagle are from the demonic beast race. They can lead the troops for a while, but they can't bring them back. I'm planning to let spiritual master Jingting and Xian Songzi bring them back to the hidden immortal mainland, but they aren't good at commanding troops. I want to invite Ingpo of the Flowing Merchant Union to be the military advisor. Hearing Xiao Hua's words, Prince Lan's mind started to work. The current situation was obvious. The Fortune Gate's disciples that Xiao Hua brought back were much stronger than the Fortune Gate's disciples in the Soaring Dragon Mountain range. In the future, the Fortune Gate's overall situation would be controlled by these disciples. Furthermore, Xiao Hua wasn't interested in the sex affairs. Everything would be left to the disciples to handle. Xiong Yi, Prince Lan, and Li Xiang's positions would definitely change in the future. The era where they could give orders to the Fortune Gate's people was gone forever. If they wanted to occupy a place in the Fortune Gate in the future, other than strength, they would need to command troops and wield authority. Prince Lan was well aware that no matter how great the opportunity in the Star Moon Palace was, it was impossible for him to advance to the 7th grade in one go. Even if he really reached the 7th grade, there were still Lu Yi, Yu Zhongquan, and the others above him. He wouldn't have any chance to stand out in the Fortune Gate. The path of cultivation was already bleak, so the only path left was to command troops and wield authority. Right now, in front of Prince Lan, it was an excellent opportunity. These 200,000 Fortune Gate's disciples didn't seem to be familiar with the three mainlands. Xiao Hua wasn't particularly familiar with and trusted the disciples at the 7th or 8th grade. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let Daoist Jingting and Xian Songzi lead the troops. He even let Ingpa from the demonic beast clan be his advisor. If Prince Lan took advantage of this opportunity to command troops, not only would he be able to build a good relationship with the disciples at the 7th or 8th grade, he would also be able to occupy a better position before the new Fortune Gate structure was clear. Moreover, Prince Lan was looking forward to the Immortal Palace's punitive expedition. He understood that the immortal soldiers and generals that could come on the expedition were at the 4th grade at most. In front of these 200,000 ferocious beasts, they were just appetizers. If he could command troops, it would be a great merit. When Xiong Yi returned from the Star Moon Palace, how could Xiong Yi be ranked ahead of him? It could be said that this was the opportunity that Prince Lan had been dreaming of. As for the opportunity in the Star Moon Palace, Prince Lan could see clearly. Not to mention the risks, the so-called opportunity might not be much better than the Fortune Gates. Not to mention, with the authority to command troops and speak in the sex affairs, he would also have cultivation resources. In fact, he wouldn't have to worry about his cultivation speed falling behind others. Who knew, he might even surpass the disciples who had entered the Star Moon Palace in the future. Chapter 44:19. Thinking of this, Prince Lan glanced at Xiong Yi, who was about to speak, and quickly volunteered. He bowed and said, "Master, disciple has known about the Star Moon Palace for a long time, but disciple has never had the opportunity to go there. Now that master has placed this opportunity in front of disciple, disciple is really excited. However, compared to the Fortune Gate's affairs, disciple feels that disciple's opportunity is far less important than the Fortune Gate's development. Only when the Fortune Gate thrives can disciple obtain more opportunities. Therefore, disciple has decided, disciple will give up this opportunity to solve master's problem. Disciple will bring these disciples back to the Soaring Dragon Mountain range to resist the Immortal Palace's invasion." Oh. Xiao Hua was taken aback. He was indeed having a headache about the 200,000 soldiers returning, but it was not as serious as Prince Lan had said. After all, there were still some high-level disciples among the 200,000 soldiers. With them around, there would not be any trouble. As for the problems they would encounter along the way, Ingpo was more than enough to deal with them. That being said, hearing that Prince Lan was willing to give up his opportunity to contribute to the Fortune Gate, Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He smiled and asked, "Prince Lan, have you really decided?" Disciple feels that not only disciple thinks so, senior brother Xiong Yi probably thinks so too. Prince Lan respectfully said, "After all, on the hidden immortal mainland, our Tao Gate's disciples were bullied by Confucian cultivators. It is not easy for the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's fortune gate to grow to such a scale. Disciple and the others are not willing to turn this into nothingness. Indeed. Xiong-yi also spoke. Disciple is also willing to bring these disciples back to the soaring Dragon Mountain Range and let senior brother Li Xiang rush to the Star Moon Palace. Hee, good. Xiaohua clapped his hands and said, Master is comforted to have disciples like you. As long as you sincerely cooperate and help our fortune gate, there will be more opportunities like the Star Moon Palace in the future. Subsequently, Xiaohua sent a voice transmission to Prince Lan. Also, you should remember where Chang Yu died, right? When Prince Lan heard this, he was stunned for a moment before replying, Yes, Master, disciple will never forget that place. You should also know the demonic beast race that perished together with Chang Yu. Of course. Prince Lan seemed to understand what Xiaohua wanted to say and nodded his head firmly. There was a trace of joy to be seen in his eyes. Good, kill them and avenge your junior brother. Xiaohua ordered coldly. Then, with a wave of his hand, he took out a bottle of pills and a jade eye pendant from his bosom and handed them to Prince Lan. He said, This is Master's reward for you. I won't say the names of the cultivation methods and medicinal pills. You can comprehend them yourself first. If you feel that the time is right, you can take the medicinal pills. I guarantee that you will be able to break through to the middle stage of nascent soul before I return. Master will to help you break through to late stage. His Highness Lan was overjoyed. He originally wanted to decline and express his noble character and unquestionable integrity, but he remembered that Xiaohua didn't like empty formalities, so he hurriedly took it and said, Thank you, Master. Since Prince Lan is willing to lead the troops, there is no need for Xiong-yi to stay. To go to the to leave. To go to the heaven to and to go. To go time, to gather time, to the ascento the head to head to head to head. To place. Yes. Xiong-yi nodded and handed the items to Prince Lan before flying to the thunder ship. Xiaohua turned to Yingpe and said, You don't have to be the military advisor. You can go to your own demon realm with the army. Junior doesn't have any demon realm. Yingpe smiled bitterly. Junior will bring my clansmen to the ascento the ascento. That's fine. Your clansmen can settle down in the ascento. Xiaohua smiled and said to Xian Songzi and spiritual master Jing Ting, You two will be Prince Lan's assistants. You must protect him well. Don't let him get hurt. Yes, disciple understands. Xian Songzi and spiritual master Jing Ting bowed. Disciple will definitely protect junior brother Lan. Prince Lan was truly happy with his wise decision. He smiled and cupped his fists. Thank you, senior martial brothers. What about you? Xiaohua looked at Ao Zhantian and the other disciples. The Star Moon Palace was a great opportunity. How could Ao Zhantian and the other disciples not agree? They all nodded happily. After settling the matters in the Fortune Gate, Xiaohua asked Zhang Daoran and the others, What about fellow Taoists? Junior is willing to go. Zhai Xingzi was the first to speak. But I don't know if can go with her injuries. It's fine as long as you want to go. Her injuries aren't a problem. At most, you won't go. Xiaohua smiled. After all, not everyone has the opportunity to enter. However, fellow Taoists' wedding night will have to be pushed back. Only a fool wouldn't go with such a great opportunity. Venerable Master Sun Kong shouted. Go. It's the wedding night. Who knows if they've already been singing every night. After saying that, Venerable Master Sun Kong realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly said to Prince Lan, Fellow Taoist Prince Lan, I'm not talking about you. After all, we don't have your noble character and unquestionable integrity. When Venerable Master Sun Kong, who was at the 5th grade of Origin Energy, called him fellow Taoist and even mentioned the noble character and unquestionable integrity that he wanted to flaunt, Prince Lan knew that he had made the right choice. He smiled and said, there's no need to mention noble character and unquestionable integrity. It's my duty as a disciple to make some sacrifices for the sect. Venerable Master Sun Kong gave Prince Lon a thumbs up to express his appreciation. Prince Lon didn't mind, but Jai Xingzi's face was so red that it was about to drip blood. After all, the so-called singing every night had a double meaning. Very well, since everyone is willing, you all can stand to the side. Xiao Hua smiled and glanced at everyone. He then said, in a bit, follow this old man. Xiao Hua raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Hong! A thunderous sound rang out. Tru Chi rushed out, and he flew up into the night sky. Soon after, Xiao Hua's body flashed with lightning, and his body suddenly expanded to more than 1,000 zhang tall. High up in the sky, in the space of 100 li, all kinds of thunder rumbled, and thick lightning bolts swam in the night sky like a horned dragon. Not only that, under the horned dragon, Xiantian Tru Chi condensed into the shape of an auspicious cloud, and all kinds of colored pearls appeared everywhere, protecting Xiao Hua's golden color. Looking at Xiao Hua's feet, the pillars of light from the stars and moon that originally descended from the sky, once again appeared from the void, transforming into spirals that supported Xiao Hua, and even transformed into halos that swam up and down within the pearls. When Xiao Hua slightly released his Mahayana aura, a supreme aura that was not inferior to immortal Emperor Go Chen and Mahavairakana's aura enveloped an area of 1,000 miles. Disciples. Xiao Hua's voice was like a thunderclap. His avatar was like a god. With just a whisper, all 200,000 disciples knelt down and said in unison, "Disciples are here." Beast King Bai Qingyu bullied my fortune gate and suppressed my avatar. You defeated Bai Qingyu, and your morale soared. The heaven-concealing ridge and ancient Bell Mountain surrendered without a fight, handing over the 2 demon domains to my fortune gate. Xiao Hua added, "This is my glory, and the glory of all my disciples. From today onward, there will be another invincible army on the 3 mainlands. Our fortune gate's great army will be invincible wherever it goes. Whether it's the demon race or the human race, anyone who dares to stand in my way will be killed. Kill. 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 Kill." Hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gate disciples' killing intent soared into the night sky like rainbows. In the southern part of the night sky, the 7 merciless stars' radiance suddenly shone brightly, as if it wanted to illuminate the entire starry sky. At the same time as the 7 merciless stars' radiance, swish, 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 another 6 rays of starlight shone brightly. They were the Tianfu star, Tianliang star, Tianji star, Tiantong star, and Tianxiang star beside the 7 merciless star. The 6 stars of the southern dipper lit up the entire southern part of the night sky. Kill. The stars and moon's radiance were invisible, but it dyed the entire 1,000 demons' sacred grounds. The Fortune Gate's disciples were confused, and their auras surged as they shouted again. Boom. This time, the stars in the sky lit up at the same time. The entire 1,000 demons' sacred grounds was as bright as day, and countless pillars of starlight fell on a certain spot in the 1,000 demons' sacred grounds. Oh! Xiao Hua was slightly taken aback. The pillars of starlight fell in the same direction as the Feng Wu, golden-winged Great Peng, and the others. If he guessed correctly, it should be where the Great Holy Hall was. When Xiao Hua saw that only the Big Dipper wasn't lit up, a smile appeared on his face. Damn it, this must be the Feng Wu's doing. I wonder what kind of fortuitous encounter he had in the Great Holy Hall. Disciples. Xiao Hua's voice resounded in the starlight. When the heavens emit killing intent, the stars move. When the earth emits killing intent, dragons and snakes rise. When the humans emit killing intent, heaven and earth overturn. When my fortune gate emits killing intent, the 3 mainlands tremble. Today, my fortune gate has risen, and the heavens have changed. Today, all of you are escorting the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's disciples back to the Fortune Dao Palace. With Daoist Zhao's orders, all of you shall exterminate anyone who dares to harm my disciples. Anyone who dares to harm my disciples will be exterminated. Yes. We know that anyone who dares to harm my disciples will be exterminated. Anyone who dares to harm my disciples will be exterminated. The group of disciples roared, and their voices surged out in all directions like a tidal wave. Although they didn't know if the demonic beasts could hear them, Taoist Master Ching Su, Venerable Master Fan Tian, and the others paled. They had never seen such an iron-blooded army. Black Bear, White Lion, Golden Condor, where are you? Seeing the unprecedented momentum of the Fortune Gate's disciples, Xiaohua smiled and ordered. Black Bear and the other two demonic beasts didn't understand, but they still stepped out and knelt in the air. Master, we are here. What orders do you have for us? Although you are demonic beasts, you are loyal to my Fortune Gate. You have already submitted to me in the Black Wind Mountain Range. Now, my Fortune Gate has conquered the Bai Qingyu, Ancient Bell Mountain, and Shrouded Sky Ridge. This is my Fortune Gate's foundation in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. I hereby order you all to guard the Black Bear Beast King, the White Lion Beast King, and the Golden Condor Beast King on my behalf, and become the backbone of my Fortune Gate. Xiaohua ordered. You can recruit disciples in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm, or you can bring the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range's demonic beasts over. You can make all the decisions. Chapter 44:20. Thank you, Master. This lowly one thanks Master. The White Lion and Golden Eagle were overjoyed hearing this. A beast king of a generation, this was something they had never dared to imagine. That day on the Black Wind Ridge, they had called themselves beast kings, but that was just arrogance. But today, 200,000 disciples had passed by, and all the fruits of victory were theirs to reap. This was their reward for their loyalty to the Fortune Gate. Master. The Black Bear hesitated for a moment, then kowtowed. This lowly one has never been ambitious. This lowly one does not want to be a beast king, this lowly one only wants to guard Master's cultivation dwelling. His granny. Xiaohua did not expect the Black Bear to abandon Bai Qingyu, nor did he expect the Black Bear's spirit to be so loyal to him. He would rather not be a beast king or a feudal lord than follow him. Xiaohua was touched, but at the same time, he was a little passive. However, a moment later, Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly sent a voice transmission to the Black Bear. The Black Bear was stunned for a moment, then he hesitated for a moment before saying righteously, moreover, this lowly one feels that this lowly one is Master's gatekeeper, so it is only right for this lowly one to work for Master, and should not receive any rewards. The Flowing Merchant Union's patriarch Ing Bo led his entire tribe to help our Fortune Gate, and they also had a share in trampling Bai Qingyu. This lowly one is willing to give Bai Qingyu to the Ing Bo tribe, and make this place their demon territory. Hearing those words, the distant Ing Po was greatly shocked. However, he was both surprised and delighted. Although the Flowing Merchant Union had grown stronger, the Ing Bo tribe's overall strength was still weak, and they could not win a place in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Furthermore, the demon realms of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm varied in size, but no matter how big or small they were, they all had demon kings, mountain lords, and so on. These demon kings and mountain lords all had the support of even more powerful demon clans, and all of these forces could be traced back to the 6 great saints of the Great Sage Temple. Therefore, if there were no accidents, it would be extremely difficult for the Ing Bo tribe to obtain a demon territory in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Although Xiaohua had made it clear that he wanted to invite the Ing Bo tribe to the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range, the Ing Bo tribe was still a demonic beast clan. However, Ing Bo's clansmen were demonic beast clansmen. They could stay in the Soaring Dragon Mountain Range for a while, but they couldn't stay there forever. Moreover, they couldn't stay under the Fortune Gate's protection forever. Therefore, Ing Po was still willing to establish himself in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. However, Ing Po had never imagined that Bai Qingyu would fall into his lap, because the Fortune Gate's disciples were too powerful. Any random Fortune Gate disciple with a cultivation of grade 7 origin Qi realm had the ability to annihilate his entire clan. Moreover, His clan had not obtained any battle merits from the battle with Bai Qingyu, so why should he ask Xiaohua to bestow Bai Qingyu to him? Therefore, the Black Bear's suggestion stunned Ingpa. He didn't understand why the Black Bear spirit, whom he didn't know, would take such good care of him. Of course, Xiaohua's words made Ingpa understand. This was because Xiaohua pondered for a moment before saying with a smile, "Black Bear, you're right. To resist foreign aggression, one must first pacify internal strife. To reward internal strife, one must reward external strife." This old man was wrong. Ingpa, Bai Qingyu will be bestowed to you today as a place for your people to live and reproduce. Are you willing? Hearing this, how could Ingpa not know that this was Xiaohua's intention? He originally wanted to decline, but seeing that He Xiong had already declined, if he continued to decline, Xiaohua's face would not be good. Furthermore, he himself really wanted to find a place for his clansmen to settle down, so he knelt down without hesitation and said, "Ingbo thanks Teacher Xiao on behalf of my clansmen." Just as Ingpo's words fell, all of Ingpo's people on the lightning boat knelt down and cried, "This little one thanks Master Xiao, we will forever be loyal to Master Xiao, we will never betray him." Master. The Golden Condor and White Lion were dumbfounded. They didn't expect the Black Bear to not want to be a Beast King. Wouldn't that mean that one of the 3 Beast Kings was missing? They hurriedly wanted to say something, but Xiaohua smiled faintly and said, "From now on, the heaven-concealing ridge and ancient Bell Mountain will be my Fortune Gate's foundation. Your task is difficult, don't tell me you want to decline?" The Golden Condor and White Lion's hearts trembled, and they hurriedly answered, "We bear Master's heavy responsibility, we will do our best until our last breath." "Good." Xiaohua nodded and said, "Discuss this matter with His Highness Lan." "Yes." The 3 demonic beasts stood up and retreated to the side. Xiaohua looked at the 1,000 demonic sacred grounds that was as bright as day, then he pointed in the direction of the hidden immortal mainland and said, pointing the sword at the hidden immortal mainland, "Whoever dares to block my army along the way, kill them all." "Yes, Master." All of the Fortune Gate's disciples stood up and shouted in unison. Then, the 2 lightning boats rumbled, and Ingpa and the others flew up to the lightning boats. On the lightning boat, His Highness Lan shouted in high spirits, "Fortune Gate's disciples, listen to my command, set out, boom boom." The lightning boats flickered with lightning, competing with the starlight in the sky. On the lightning boat, His Highness Lan bowed and said, "Master, this disciple is going. Go, be careful on the way." Xiaohua nodded and smiled as he looked at the hundreds of thousands of Fortune Gate's disciples, Ingpo's people, and some dragons and humans in an orderly manner, flying in the direction Xiaohua pointed out. After the disciples left, Xiaohua withdrew his avatar, leaving Zhai Xingzi and the others in the sky. At this time, Xiongyi flew over and asked in a low voice, "Master, why are you pointing to the east?" "That is not where my soaring dragon mountain range is located." Is it wrong?" Xiaohua smiled bitterly and said while rubbing his nose, "It's also the hidden immortal mainland. His Highness Lan can go as he pleases, he will definitely find the way back to the soaring dragon mountain range." "But," Xiongyi said in a low voice, "that direction is where junior brother Changyu died." "Heaven's will." Xiaohua's eyes turned cold, and he said, "Those who dared to kill my Fortune Gate's disciples must pay the price." "Yes, this disciple understands." Xiongyi nodded and pointed at the several thousand Golden Core disciples in the distance and reported, "These are the 8,111 Golden Core disciples I brought from the soaring dragon mountain range." Why are there so many Golden Core disciples?" Xiaohua was a little surprised. After all, in his impression, the hidden immortal mainland's Tao Gate had withered. How could there be so many Golden Core disciples in the soaring dragon mountain range? "Good, Father understands." Xiongyi explained, after Master left, this disciple discussed with senior brother Li Xiang, junior brother Lan, and junior brother Changyu. "Our soaring dragon mountain range covers a large area and there is abundant heaven and earth origin energy. Not to mention several tens of thousands of disciples, even hundreds of thousands of disciples can be accommodated. Therefore, the Fortune Gate's disciples regard recruiting disciples as the most important thing to do. Every year, disciples will be sent to villages and other places to look for children with excellent aptitudes. It's very strange, in these 100 years, the hidden immortal mainland's weather has changed greatly. The 9 prefectures often have disasters, there are many mediocre officials in the Confucian government, and there are many disaster victims everywhere. Wherever our Fortune Gate's disciples go, not only do we recruit disciples, we also take out enough good seeds to help the disaster victims cultivate. The villagers are all willing to give their children to our Fortune Gate. Moreover, the method master left behind to select disciples is also very powerful. The so-called spiritual roots technique is very useful, as those who have spiritual roots are all very talented. Their cultivation speed is several times faster than the average disciple, so 200 years is enough for many disciples to step into the Golden Core realm. Xiong Yi habitually waved his hand as he said, "Our soaring dragon mountain range, according to Master's custom before he left, recruits about 10,000 disciples every year. However, because of the recruitment of disciples, the transactions with the Luo Yi Merchant Union, and the disciples going to other places in the hidden immortal mainland to recruit Foundation Establishment and Golden Core Realm disciples, the movement is quite big, attracting the attention of Confucian families in immortal palaces. In the past few decades, there are often Confucian cultivators coming to visit our soaring Dragon Mountain range, so this disciple and the others slowed down the expansion of the Fortune Gate. In the past 200 years, we have recruited a total of 1.6 million disciples. Not bad. Xiao Hua praised, "Your ability in this aspect is much stronger than Master's." Although he said so, Xiao Hua was clear in his heart that the Xinhua continent could not be compared to the 3 mainlands. The Xinhua continent was purely starting from scratch, and the number of humans in the 3 mainlands was absolutely terrifying. This was because the Tao Gate was suppressed by Confucian cultivators on the hidden immortal mainland. If there were no restrictions, with the Fortune Gate situation, it would not be a problem to recruit 100,000 disciples every year. Of course, it was precisely because the Tao Gate was not prosperous and the threshold for Confucian cultivators was too high that the Fortune Gate could casually recruit talented disciples on the hidden immortal mainland. Master doesn't know, there are too many disaster victims, and they are fighting to give their children to our Fortune Gate so that they can have food to eat. Xiong Yi smiled bitterly, so in the end, this disciple and the others have already become a minor detail, and the distribution of grain seeds is the most important task. In the soaring Dragon Mountain range, there are many places where grain seeds are planted, and they have to be sent out every year. Not bad. Xiao Hua nodded again, "Our Fortune Gate's mission is to save the world. We would rather not have disciples and not develop, but save the common people." "Disciple, you have done well." "Master, it's good that you say so." Xiong Yi nodded, "Then this disciple can rest assured." "Oh?" Xiao Hua asked curiously, "Could it be that the 4 of you have different opinions?" "Hee, it's not convenient for this disciple to say. Master will know when you return to the Fortune Dao Palace." Xiong Yi did not say much, and only pointed out, "This disciple's opinions are not quite the same, but all of us are thinking for our Fortune Gate." Xiao Hua nodded again. Xiong Yi said proudly, "But, Master, people often say that good people will be rewarded well." Although this disciple does not wish to recruit disciples, the disciples that our Fortune Gate recruits are all outstanding. Among the 1,600,000 disciples, there are more than 400,000 Foundation Establishment, Enlightened, and Fusion Stage disciples with first-grade essence force, 600,000 heart-moved disciples with second-grade essence force, and 500,000 tranquil spirit stage disciples with second-grade essence force, 300,000 disciples with second-grade essence force. The composition of the Fortune Gate's disciples is a little strange. Xiao Hua laughed, "I'm afraid this kind of situation can only happen in our Fortune Gate during this period." Chapter 44-21. Xiong Yi nodded respectfully and said with a smile, "Indeed. Normally, when a Tao sect established a country, there would be a nascent soul imperial advisor or a golden core imperial advisor. Below them, there would be dozens of so-called disciples. Under these disciples, there would be dozens of disciples. Below these disciples, there would be hundreds of disciples. However, our Fortune Gate's disciples do not have any bottlenecks at grade 1. From integrating with the Fortune Gate to the heart movement realm, everything is as smooth as flowing water. In the past, we also wanted our disciples to give pointers to the new disciples, but there was not much difference in their cultivation speed. In the end, we simply let our disciples give pointers to the new disciples for the first 10 years or so, and then, when their cultivation realm was high enough, we would recruit new disciples. In addition, we did not dare to recruit more disciples in recent decades, so now our Fortune Gate's disciple structure is like a spindle, thin on both sides and thick in the middle. Many heart intent disciples who have reached grade 2 have no disciples. Xiao Hua was used to the training and foundation building realms, so when he heard Xiong Yi talk about foundation building, consecration, and fusion, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. Fortunately, when Xiong Yi was explaining, he also mentioned the grade of his elemental energy, so he could at least understand. Xiao Hua frowned and said, "Disciple, didn't Master give you a new cultivation technique when I left? Those are the Qi refining and foundation establishment realms, did you not teach them?" "Oh, Master." Xiong Yi slapped his forehead and said, "Disciple was a little confused. Disciple has followed Master's cultivation technique to the newly recruited disciples. Only the disciples who entered our Fortune Gate later use Master's modified cultivation technique. But because Disciple has been using foundation establishment, light illumination, and integration since young, Disciple can't help but lean towards that direction. It is easy to impart cultivation techniques, but changing one's mindset is really difficult. Xiao Hua sighed. Disciple was wrong, but Master does not need to worry. Xiong Yi smiled and said, "Our Fortune Gate's disciples use Qi refining and foundation establishment realms, only Disciple can't change." "Alright, go on." Xiao Hua himself was not used to the hidden immortal mainland's cultivation system, of course. He could not force Xiong Yi and the others to correct it immediately. "Yes, Master." Xiong Yi continued, "Before coming to the Thousand Demons' sacred grounds, our Fortune Gate had over 23,000 Golden Core Realm disciples. Among them, 2,000 mid and late-stage Golden Core Realm disciples joined the Fortune Gate later. This includes this disciple, Senior Brother Li Xiang, and Martial Uncle Lan's disciples. Senior Brother Li Xiang stayed behind to guard the soaring Dragon Mountain range, leaving behind 5,000 Golden Core disciples. Junior Brother Lan, Junior Brother Changyu, and I have brought a total of 18,300 Golden Core disciples and 10,000 late-stage Foundation Establishment disciples to the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Along the way, we lost 50% of our disciples, and half of our Golden Core disciples and Foundation Establishment disciples. Oh. How come the number of Jindan disciples and Foundation Establishment disciples are equal? Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled, because according to common sense, it should be the Foundation Establishment disciples that were injured more. Xiong Yi bit his lip and said, "That's because core formation disciples have to protect Foundation Establishment disciples. When they encounter danger, they let Foundation Establishment disciples go first." What a good disciple. Xiao Hua also sighed, deeply moved. Therefore, before the war, there were only 4,000 late-stage Foundation Establishment disciples and 10,221 Golden Core disciples left. Xiong Yi continued, "During the Great Battle, although there were disciples led by Master, there were still many casualties. Most of them were Golden Core disciples. Those Foundation Establishment disciples didn't fly as fast as Golden Core disciples, so they didn't fight as much with the demons. Now, there are only 8,111 Golden Core disciples left?" Xiao Hua asked. Xiong Yi nodded, "Yes, there are still 3,607 late-stage Foundation Establishment disciples." "Good." Xiao Hua said, then turned to Black Bear and said, "Black Bear, quickly catch up with the army and bring back the remaining soaring Dragon Mountain range disciples." "Yes, Master. Black Bear Spirit didn't hesitate at all and urged the demonic cloud to chase after the army. Master was wrong. Xiaohua sighed. These Foundation Establishment disciples also have the qualifications to enter the Star Moon Palace. But, Master. Xiongni looked at the thousands of Golden Core disciples and said, Disciple only heard that there are very few cultivators who can enter the Star Moon Palace. We have over 10,000 disciples, how can we all enter the Star Moon Palace? It depends on fate. Xiaohua laughed, if there is no fate, how can Master bring back 200,000 Fortune Gate disciples? Yes, disciple understands. Xiongni had to explain even if he didn't understand. Go, instruct the disciples that when the Foundation Establishment disciples return, Master will bring them into the Kunlun immortal realm to cultivate. Do not resist. Xiaohua took out the Kunlun mirror and instructed Xiongyi. Xiongyi naturally knew about the Kunlun mirror. Didn't Yuanya and the others' cultivation soar after entering the Kunlun mirror? He agreed and hurried off. Fellow Taoists. After Xiaohua finished instructing, he looked at Zhai Xingzi and the others and said, I have a Kunlun mirror here. There is a world inside that can cultivate. I will bring you all into the Kunlun mirror and bring you all to the Star Moon Palace. Zhai Xingzi and the others naturally knew that once they entered the Kunlun mirror, their lives would be in Xiaohua's hands. But how could they not trust Xiaohua? All of them nodded in agreement. Xiaohua shook the Kunlun mirror and sent them into the Xinhua continent. He then took Ao Zhantian, Su Tingzi, Yuanya, Dai, Little Black, Little Yellow, and the others into the Kunlun mirror. Not long after, the Black Bear Spirit returned with several thousand Foundation Establishment Realm disciples. Xiaohua took the Fortune Gate disciples, Xiongyi, the Black Bear Spirit, and the others into the Kunlun mirror. Only then did he look at the starry sky and land and flew towards the east of the Thousand Demons' sacred territory. The changes in the Thousand Demons' sacred territory were naturally caused by Fengwu. After bidding farewell to Xiaohua, Fengwu flapped her wings and flew towards the Great Holy Hall. The golden-winged Great Rock, Flying Feather Void Beast, and five-colored Sea God Shell followed behind her. The four demonic race great sages displayed their various abilities. In just a short moment, they had already flown tens of thousands of miles away. Seeing that they were gradually leaving Bai Qingyu, Fengwu's eyes flashed like lightning. She swept her gaze across the land that was still in a mess and sneered in her heart. Wasn't Bai Qingyu, Shrouded Sky Ridge, and Ancient Bell Mountain the same case? Moreover, because of Bai Xian's selfish desires, she had triggered the divine punishment and implicated all the Shell race's bloodline in the Thousand Demons' sacred territory. From today onwards, although Bai Xian's influence still lingered, the arrogant and despotic Shell race might not be able to recover for a period of time. As for when they would be able to make a comeback, that would depend on the Little White Dragon and Bai Bo's abilities. Thinking about the Little White Dragon, Fengwu couldn't help but laugh. Regardless of whether it was the human race or the demonic race, they all treated him as Xiaohua. Whether it was the soaring Dragon Mountain Range's Fortune Gate, the demonic race's Endless Merchant Union, or even Ao Zhantian, Zhai Xingzi, and the others, they all sacrificed a lot in order to rescue the Little White Dragon from Bai Qingyu. Little did they know that the Little White Dragon actually enjoyed the blessings of multiple people. There was no need for anyone to rescue him at all. That beast King Bai Qing's daughter actually obediently stole him away. However, it was precisely because of the Little White Dragon's disappearance that Xiaohua and the three demonic race great sages had to make a move. Damn it, the dragon race is really powerful. They're really attractive to ordinary female demonic race members. Fengwu thought naturally in his heart. At this moment, he suddenly frowned as if he had thought of something. Just as he was about to speak, he saw a streak of golden light above his head. The golden-winged great rock had already flown past him and rushed towards the horizon. Ha! Fengwu laughed loudly. Does the great rock sage want to compete with this sage? If that's what the great rock sage wants, why don't we compete? The golden-winged great rock's voice came from afar. He laughed and said, "Let's see whose demonic body is stronger and whose flying speed is faster. The limit is 1 day." Behind Feng Wu, the flying feather void beast shouted loudly. "If you go any further, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up." "All right." Feng Wu agreed. He flapped his wings and lightning crackled around his body. Beams of starlight and moonlight blasted into the great rock sage and a string of illusory figures appeared out of thin air. Feng Wu chased after the golden-winged great rock at lightning speed. "Hee, the great rock sage is indeed extraordinary." In the sky, the golden-winged great rock laughed loudly and shouted proudly, "However, it won't be easy for you to catch up to this sage." As they spoke, the two demonic race great sages' figures disappeared at an extremely fast speed. The flying feather void beast and the five-colored sea god shell were naturally not slow, but the two saints were slightly inferior to the great rock sage and Feng Wu. Layers of ripples rose rapidly in the air. Within the ripples, the two saints' figures were faintly discernible. Sometimes they were distorted abnormally, sometimes they returned to normal, but most of the time they were broken illusory figures. Similarly, in just a moment, the two saints' figures also disappeared. While flying, the five-colored sea god Shell heard the flying feather void beast's voice. "Shell Sage, what do you think of the seven-star Phoenix Sage?" "What do I think?" The five-colored sea god Shell's mouth was bitter. While urging his demonic body to continue flying, he replied indifferently, "What can this sage think? This Phoenix Sage has obtained the recognition of the 7 stars, so his strength must be far beyond ours. Didn't you see his battle with the Great Rock Sage? Even the Great Rock Sage was almost defeated by him. If the Great Rock Sage hadn't materialized his star mark at the critical moment, the position of the strongest demonic race would have changed hands." Speaking of this, the five-colored sea god Seashell looked at the distorted space in the distance with disappointment and said, "Fighting naturally requires strength. It may be a cultivation method, a secret technique, or a monster body. The Great Rock Sage has been a great saint for hundreds of thousands of years, and the time he spent in the Great Saint realm is only second to the profound Pentaceratops. As for the Phoenix Sage, not only has she just become a saint, she hasn't even entered the Great Saint Hall yet. How would we know about her opportunities? Also, the Great Rock Sage wants to compete in flying speed with the Phoenix Sage. I'm afraid he wants to compete in physical strength, right? Shell Sage, this sage's flying speed isn't my strong point. Who do you think is faster?" The flying feather void beast didn't hesitate at all, as if it had already guessed. It should be the Great Rock Sage. After all, his true form is the Great Rock Sage, and he's known as the demonic race's #1 flying beast. However, even so, this sage feels that the Phoenix Sage isn't too far behind. Chapter 44-22. That's right. Saint Anai is right, said the pentacolored seashell. The demon body is the #1 cultivation proof for the demon race. Saint Phoenix's demon body isn't inferior to Saint Peng's. Even if Saint Phoenix is defeated today, it's only a matter of time before he becomes the strongest of the demon race. The flying feather void beast smiled. Who is the strongest of the demon race isn't something we should be concerned about. It should be a matter for the two great sages, Saint Phoenix and Saint Dragon. They've been fighting for so many years, and now there's a 7-star Saint Phoenix. The Great Sage Hall is getting more and more lively. AI. The pentacolored seashell sighed. That's right. There's going to be a great change in the 1,000 Demons sacred realm. I wonder if there'll be an even greater bloodbath. That depends on Saint Phoenix's ambition. The flying feather void beast smiled. He only needs half of Saint Dragon's ambition, that's unlikely. The pentacolored seashell replied absent-mindedly. From the situation in Baiqingyu, Veiled Sky Ridge, and Ancient Bell Mountain today, Saint Phoenix's heart doesn't seem to be here. That's right. That's what this saint finds most strange. The flying feather void beast smiled. However, that was all he said. He paused for a moment and waited for the pentacolored seashell to continue. Unfortunately, the pentacolored seashell was preoccupied and didn't ask. The flying feather void beast thought for a moment and took the opportunity to ask, Saint Shell, you just said that the demon body is the #1 cultivation proof for the demon race. That seems a bit lacking, no? The five-colored sea god Bay was startled when he heard this. He asked indifferently, what do you mean, Saint and I? From what this saint knows, bloodline should be the #1 cultivation proof for the demon race, right? The flying feather void beast smiled. His words were full of meaning. The pentacolored seashell smiled. There's a saying in the human race that the benevolent see benevolence and the wise see wisdom. I'm afraid that's what it means. Perhaps Saint and I is right, perhaps this saint is right, or perhaps you and I are both right. Seeing that the pentacolored seashell didn't answer directly, the flying feather void beast's eyes turned. Earlier, the five-colored sea god shell had said that its bloodline had been taken away. The flying feather void beast was both shocked and confused. He was proficient in bloodline techniques, so he was naturally aware that ordinary bloodlines couldn't be stripped away. Even though Xiao Hua was a Grand Ascension stage human cultivator, he didn't possess any powerful abilities. Therefore, he didn't believe the five-colored sea god seashell's words at all. He felt that the five-colored sea god seashell was trying to cover up something. Moreover, the seven-colored seashell's shell had been shattered by Xiao Hua. If the five-colored seashell's bloodline had really been taken away, then the seven-colored seashell's bloodline could naturally be taken away as well. In that case, the situation of the entire Thousand Devil Sacred Realm would fundamentally change. For the sake of the future arrangements, the flying feather void beast had to clarify the matter of the bloodline and how Xiao Hua had defeated the old ancestor. The flying feather void beast pondered the situation for a moment before asking, by the way, Saint Bei, why did a streak of light suddenly appear after that Grand Ascension stage human cultivator was trapped by the old ancestor? Not only did the light disappear from the old ancestor's body, but even more light from the Thousand Devil Sacred Realm fell into the light, and as the light began to flow, the phenomena created by the old ancestor's attacks gradually disappeared. The old ancestor's bondage shell was destroyed, and in the end, the Grand Ascension stage human cultivator managed to break free, but I wasn't able to identify what method he used in the end. Can you answer my question, Saint Bei? The five-colored sea god shell faltered slightly upon hearing this, and it glanced at the flying feather void beast with a hint of hesitation in its heart. Earlier, it had revealed that its bloodline had been taken away, and it had regretted it ever since. After hearing the flying feather void beast's probing, it made a slight mental calculation before replying in a wary manner, that's the old ancestor's business, how would I know if she didn't tell me? The flying feather void beast wasn't surprised by the five-colored sea god shell's answer in the slightest, and it continued in a seemingly nonchalant manner, by the way, I seem to have seen an ancient record in the Great Holy Hall about 70,000 years ago, right? The five-colored sea god shell asked in a cold voice, what do you mean by that, Saint and I? It's nothing. The flying feather void beast hurriedly chuckled, after all, the five-colored light is Saint Bei's bonded ability, and even Saint Peng has praised it in the past. The sudden disappearance of the five-colored light has given me some ideas about the origins of that Grand Ascension stage human cultivator in Saint Phoenix, so I wanted to have a chat with Saint Bei. Oh. What do you mean, Saint and I? The five-colored sea god shell was rather perplexed. What's wrong with their origins? Of course it's wrong. The flying feather void beast wasn't surprised at all by the five-colored sea god shell's lack of response, and it smiled as it said, if it were just a human Grand Ascension stage human cultivator, I wouldn't think too much about it. We didn't know that there was such a human cultivator on the hidden immortal continent, so it's normal that we didn't know about it. However, don't forget that this human Grand Ascension stage human cultivator is a Taoist cultivator. All of the Confucian cultivators on the hidden immortal continent view the Taoist sects as venomous snakes and scorpions. How could there be a human Grand Ascension stage human cultivator on the hidden immortal continent? As far as I can remember, aside from the primordial chaos patriarch who stirred up chaos on the 3 continents, there doesn't seem to be any Daoist cultivator capable of such feats. That's true. The 5-colored sea god shell nodded in response. I've already thought of that when I saw that human Grand Ascension stage human cultivator. The 5-colored sea god shell shuddered as it spoke, and it hurriedly exclaimed, there seems to be more than one human Grand Ascension stage human cultivator, right? At the time, there were 36 human Grand Ascension stage human cultivators who had besieged St. Peng. That's right. The flying feather void beast couldn't help but scoff at the 5-colored sea god shell's lack of awareness. However, it was quite happy to have such a slow-witted great sage as its ally. After all, this pig-like ally had a godlike patriarch backing it up. No, that's not all. The 5-colored sea god seashell immediately thought of something else and exclaimed, that skinny guy has a desolate aura on him. He's also a 9th grade essence force. That strange cultivator who fought me possesses bloodline power and spatial power, and he's also at the 9th grade of origin force. What the fuck is going on the 3 continents? Why are there so many supreme cultivators appearing all of a sudden? Could it be that 9th grade origin force cultivators aren't worth anything anymore? Also, the flying feather void beast continued in a cold voice, after the patriarch's body was destroyed, there was a massive barrier of light to our left. After the barrier was destroyed, a devilish lord appeared, and his aura is even more powerful than the Pentaceratops. Oh, and there's also that so-called Wenxing. They're all at the mid-9th grade of origin force, and some of them are even at the high grade. I'm afraid that the old ancestor was defeated under their joint attack. Clear light flashed through the flying feather void beast's eyes as it spoke, and the 5-colored sea god shell's body faintly appeared within the light. The flying feather void beast wanted to carefully inspect the 5-colored sea god shell's reaction. Unfortunately, the flying feather void beast was destined to be disappointed as the 5-colored sea god shell didn't show any signs of abnormality. The flying feather void beast replied, even a few 9th grade origin force cultivators wouldn't be able to defeat the patriarch. I know her, barrier the best. Have you forgotten, Sage Bay? Those 36 human Grand Ascension stage beings. The flying feather void beast said coldly, they suddenly disappeared when the first Grand Ascension stage human appeared. So what if they disappeared? The Kunlun mirror can't be used within the patriarch's barrier. The 5-colored sea god shell said with disdain. Then how do you think the patriarch was defeated, Sage Bay? The flying feather void beast asked with a smile as it led the 5-colored sea god shell into its trap step by step. The 5-colored sea god shell stammered, I'm afraid only the patriarch knows. Of course, if the patriarch doesn't tell us how she was defeated, we wouldn't know either. The flying feather void beast said with a smile, furthermore, Sage Foam wasn't within the barrier at the time, so he might not know. However, if I were to guess, an opponent even more powerful than the patriarch appeared, right? More powerful than the patriarch? The 5-colored sea god shell's heart stirred, and it said, the most powerful beings on the 3 continents are us. The patriarch has a secret technique, so she's different from us. How could she have? See, Sage and I, are you saying that this human Grand Ascension stage being also has a secret technique? How could a human like him possibly have such a secret technique? It's impossible for a human to have such a secret technique, but what about other races? The flying feather void beast said with a smile, can't other races exist in this human's body? The 5-colored sea god shell's imagination ran wild, and it cried out, you're saying that there's a race as mysterious as the patriarch in the human's body? It's unlikely that it's in the human's body. The flying feather void beast said with a smile, after all, the human's body is weak, and a powerful race can't exist in the human's body for a long time. If it's possible, it should be the Kunlun mirror. Impossible. The 5-colored sea god shell habitually denied it, but after saying it, he was dumbfounded and slapped himself in the face. Oh, yes. If there's a mysterious being more powerful than the patriarch, wouldn't he be able to come out of the Kunlun mirror? Mysterious being? The flying feather void beast heard the five-colored sea god shell change the word race to mysterious being, and it sneered in its heart. It knew that the five-colored sea god shell had already fallen into its trap, so it went along with the five-colored sea god shell's words. Yes, mysterious being. I once read an ancient record in the Great Sage Palace. It was about a demon called Jinxiu, and the entire demon race was wiped out by a mysterious being. Speaking of this, the flying feather void beast looked at Qingguang again. Sure enough, although the five-colored sea god's shell didn't move, the space around it rippled. The ripple was very weak, but it was still detected by the flying feather void beast, who was proficient in the power of space. Chapter 44-23. Jin and I. As if trying to hide its emotions, the five-colored sea god seashell responded, and the ripples in space disappeared. It then fell into deep thought, and after a moment, said hesitantly, I seem to have heard of it before. It seems to be an extremely powerful demon beast from ancient times, proficient in the power of space. That's right. The flying feather void beast sneered coldly in his heart, but on the surface, he flattered, Sage Bei is indeed knowledgeable. This Jin Yu is an ancient record that this sage has searched for a long time before finding. I didn't expect Sage Bei to be so familiar with it. I wouldn't dare. I've only heard the ancestor mention it occasionally. The five-colored sea god seashell really did have some recollection of it after hearing the flying feather void beast's words. I don't remember the details. To tell you the truth, when I became a great saint, I saw a strange monster in the sea of stars. It rejected my ascension to the great saint realm, and it felt like it was similar to my original name, the winged void beast said. So, after I became a great saint, I searched through the ancient records of the great holy temple in an attempt to find the origin of this unknown great saint. Only then did I find the legend of Zhen Ni in the ancient records. According to the records, Zhen Ni was extremely powerful. Not only was its physical body comparable to metal and stone, but it could also control space as it wished. His abilities far surpass my flying feather void beast. Saint Bei, think about it. When I saw a demon that was so similar to my ability, and even more powerful than mine, how could I not trace its origin? How could I not find out why this powerful demon had disappeared for no reason? When this sage took a look, it was nothing serious, but it really gave me a shock. The flying feather Ni void beast sent a voice transmission with some lingering fear. The records clearly state that one day, the Zhen Yong Grand Sage fought with another demon for some unknown reason. That demon was no match for the Zhen Yong Grand Sage and was almost killed by the Zhen Yong Grand Sage. However, the strange thing was that the Fae that was about to die suddenly transformed into a strange existence. This existence's appearance and true form could not be seen with the naked eye or with one's essence perception. Furthermore, the weather in the entire Thousand Fae sacred realm changed drastically. The clear sky turned into dark clouds as spatial vortexes filled the sky. That being used some unknown abhijna, and the Zhenxiong Grand Sage's physical body instantly withered. Furthermore, the blood-red light around his body flowed and turned into tiny fragments that fell into the hands of that being. Not only that, but the situation after that was similar to today. After the Zhenxiong Grand Sage's blood light dissipated into nothingness, the entire Thousand Demons sacred realm was suffused with blood light. Countless amounts of blood light gathered in the hands of this being. At this point, the flying feather void beast stopped, and the five-colored sea god shell asked, and then? After that, the Zhen Yong Grand Sage disappeared, and so did that entity. The Zhenxiong lineage lost their spatial abhijna and gradually disappeared from the Thousand Demons sacred realm. The flying feather void beast's voice sounded distant, as if the Zhenxiong lineage had disappeared. Phew. The five-colored sea god shell heaved a sigh of relief and laughed. Thank you for your reminder, Saint Ni. However, the Zhenxiong Grand Sage's blood essence was probably absorbed by that being. The entire Zhenxiong lineage in the Thousand Demons sacred realm seemed to have their blood essence sucked as well. It was different from today. Then, what was absorbed by the human Mahayana lineage today? The flying feather void beast seemed to ask casually. This time, the five-colored sea god shell did not answer directly. Instead, it paused for a moment before saying, "This, you don't have to worry about it, Saint and I." It's all right, Saint Bei. No matter what it is, I won't mention it again. The flying feather void beast saw the five-colored sea god shell's denial and already had a plan in its mind. It laughed. "What I want to say is that you must have lost something, right? Also, the five-colored sea god shell lineage must have lost something similar, right?" The five-colored sea god shell did not answer. It was actually very dejected. It could not afford to pursue this matter. There were many descendants of the shell race in the Thousand Demons sacred realm, so how could it not be leaked? Furthermore, it had mentioned it in a moment of absent-mindedness. Since Saint Bei isn't answering, I'll take it as a yes. The flying feather void beast finally voiced its conjecture. In other words, the being our ancestor encountered today is as terrifying as the being from before. Think about it. Does this human Mahayana lineage have the qualifications to do so? The seven-star phoenix sage said that he became a great sage in the Kunlun mirror of the human Mahayana lineage. What does that mean? It means that the terrifying being is in the Kunlun mirror of the human Mahayana lineage. Oh, Saint Bei, do you know the primordial chaos ancestor of the Taoist sect? I do. What about it? The five-colored sea god shell was completely unable to follow the flying feather void beast's train of thought. The primordial chaos ancestor was suppressed by the yin-yang illustration by the Confucian Buddhist cultivators, and they wanted to use the illustration to kill him. However, the primordial chaos ancestor found a way to refine the yin-yang illustration, and it said that he attached his nascent soul to it. As long as the treasure isn't destroyed, he won't die. Do you think that the mysterious being in the Kunlun mirror also attached his nascent soul to the Kunlun immortal realm and used it to achieve immortality? Damn it, how am I supposed to know? The five-colored sea god shell was confused by the flying feather void beast's words. Saint and I, what are you trying to say? What I mean is... The flying feather void beast smiled mysteriously and transmitted its voice, that human Mahayana lineage is just a cover. He's no match for our ancestor. In other words, those Mahayana lineages, the seven-star phoenix sage, Wen Chu, and the others are all subordinates of that mysterious being hiding in the Kunlun mirror. They're even like demon pets. Hiss. The five-colored sea god seashell turned pale with fright. He took a deep breath and stopped moving. His entire monster body appeared in the void as he shouted, "How? How is this possible?" After a short while, the flying feather void beast flew back from the distance, and it looked at the five-colored sea god shell with a smile. Most humans and demons on the three continents think that the most powerful being in the thousand-demon holy realm is the golden-winged Great Peng, but what about the truth? The six of us have more or less received guidance from our ancestor. If she doesn't care about fame and fortune, wouldn't she be just like that mysterious being? The five-colored sea god shell was silent for a long while before it finally muttered, "I originally thought that the seven-star phoenix sage and Wen Chu might be the clones of that human Mahayana lineage, but I didn't think that Saint Ni's thoughts would be even more incredible." Saint Ni's thoughts are even more incredible. The flying feather void beast said with disdain, "The Taoist sect does have cloning techniques, but it's not like we don't have them either. Saint and I, don't tell me you haven't cultivated clones. But think about it, can you create so many clones? Furthermore, each clone is different, some are Confucian cultivators, some are demonic cultivators, and there's even a devilish lord? Besides, how can clones be more powerful than the true body? Which clone isn't at a lower level of power? If you were to say that the dragon that was sealed was the clone of that human Mahayana lineage, then that would make sense. That's true." The five-colored sea god shell nodded before flying away again. Behind him, the flying feather void beast asked, "Ancestor, do you have any instructions for Saint Bei?" The five-colored sea god shell hesitated momentarily before replying. Our ancestor didn't say much. She only told me to follow her instructions. That's right. The flying feather void beast nodded. Our ancestor's bondage shell has been shattered, but think about it. When she was speaking to that human Mahayana lineage, she didn't sound very respectful at all. That's right. The five-colored sea god shell hurriedly replied, You're right, Saint and I. Our ancestor didn't dare to say anything as she was afraid that we would offend that mysterious being. The flying feather void beast looked at the five-colored sea god shell with a meaningful expression. In that case, you should understand why I'm being so long-winded, right? The five-colored sea god shell was a little dejected. I've lost some of my abilities, and I don't have any desire to win anymore. I have no intention of getting involved in the matters of the golden-winged great peng, the arcane pentaceratops, and the heaven-defying lightning phoenix. The flying feather void beast was a little exasperated, and it said, That's part of the reason, Saint and I. The most important thing is still the Dragon Island or the Great Holy Hall. You have to decide which one you want to choose. The five-colored sea god shell was truly perplexed, and it turned to the flying feather void beast with a perplexed expression. Of course I'm going to choose the Great Holy Hall. What's the difference between the Dragon Island and the Great Holy Hall? Motherfucker. The flying feather void beast cursed internally. If it weren't for the ancestor, how could that bastard have become a great sage? With that brain of his. Oh, that's right, the five-colored sea god shell doesn't have a brain. The flying feather void beast could only curse internally. He still needed to form an alliance with the five-colored sea god shell, and he didn't dare to offend Bei Xian, so he patiently said, There's something strange about what happened today. The matter of suppressing the human Grand Ascension stage avatar was the ancestor's idea, and I also know a little about it, but Saint Peng doesn't. The sky-obscuring ridge is being used by other demon races. Don't you think that the demon race we don't know about is plotting something? I don't quite understand. The five-colored sea god shell nodded. Apart from the golden-winged great peng, it's most likely the arcane pentaceratops that want to obtain information about the dragon race. Those two great sages can both ascend by devouring dragons. From there, they can shatter the heavens. If the golden-winged great peng wasn't putting on a show today, then the arcane pentaceratops must be behind this. What does this have to do with the Dragon Island? If it were that simple, how could the arcane pentaceratops still be the arcane pentaceratops? The flying feather void beast said earnestly, The dragon sage and the rock sage have always been at loggerheads, neither willing to give in to the other. Even if the dragon sage wanted to do something, he wouldn't be so obvious. He'd definitely use other channels and wouldn't let us see any clues. So it can only be the Dragon Island. Chapter 44-24. What does this have to do with Dragon Island? The five-colored sea god Seashell asked. You have the favor of the patriarch, so there's no need for you to think too much about this. The flying feather void beast sighed. However, I can't do that. The 9 elders of the 10 races of Dragon Island are all very conflicted. On top of that, Dragon Island seems to be unable to control the Dragon Palace. 200 years ago, a Dragon Master appeared on Dragon Island out of thin air. Will this Dragon Master be able to convince everyone? All of this could point the spearhead at the dragon that Peng Jun wants to interrogate. Even so, why should we choose between Dragon Island and the Great Holy Hall? The Pentaceratops has always been at odds with the Dragon Island and refused to obey the orders of the Dragon Island. Now that the Dragon Island has extended their claws into the Great Holy Palace and even set a trap for the Pentaceratops, do you think the Pentaceratops can do anything about it? The flying feather void beast mocked. On top of that, the Golden Rock was taught a lesson by that human Grand Ascension stage being. What can it do? The 7-star Phoenix is an old friend of that human Grand Ascension stage being. What can it do? Hiss. The five-colored sea god Seashell was even more astonished. You're right, Saint and I. If the pentagram dragon and the golden rock are on the same side, then our Great Holy Hall and Dragon Island will really have to go to war. Of course not. Our Great Holy Hall has 7 Great Holy Sages. Sparrow Saint and Spider Saint may not be willing. The Flying Feather Void Beast chuckled. Of course, we'll need Saint Bay's support. There's a mysterious being behind the 7-star phoenix. What choice do we have? The 5-colored sea god Seashell countered. Indeed, Saint Bay, I, and the Patriarch know about this mysterious being. The Flying Feather Void Beast said in a mysterious manner. The other Great Holy Sages don't know. Then, what if the Dragon Sage and Dragon Island aren't on the same side as Saint and I? Then Saint Bay should know what choice he should make. The 5-colored sea god Seashell Void Beast chuckled. The Flying Feather Void Beast laughed and said, otherwise, this saint would have wasted my breath talking so much. If that's the case. Hearing this, the 5-colored sea god Seashell suddenly felt enlightened. He said telepathically, the competition between the Rock Sage and the Phoenix Sage won't be that simple, right? Take a guess. The Flying Feather Void Beast smiled and flew into the distance. The 5-colored sea god Seashell shook his head with a wry smile. He also flew into the air, but without the 5-colored halo, he was much slower. Since even the 5-colored Seashell had vaguely guessed the golden-winged rock's intention, how could Feng Wu not know? After flying over countless mountains in a single day and frightening countless great demons, the sun gradually set and colorful clouds filled the sky. The Phoenix Parasol General spread his wings and began to slow down. Sure enough, as soon as Phoenix Wu slowed down, the voice of the golden-winged great rock sounded, Phoenix Sage, the 1-day limit is not up yet. Why aren't you flying? Feng Wu smiled and said, this saint's specialty isn't flying. How can I possibly be Rock Saint's match? It's fine if we just spar like this, but why must we decide the victor? The golden-winged great rock's flying figure also slowly came to a stop. When Feng Wu flew closer, he said, Phoenix Sage, you're too modest. These words really make this saint feel ashamed. Flying is not Phoenix Sage's specialty, but this saint hasn't surpassed you by much in just 1 day. How can this saint still have the face to claim the title of the first great saint of the demon race? Feng Wu laughed, don't worry, Rock Saint. This saint has no interest in being the first great saint at all. Furthermore, at this point, could it be that you still care about this empty title in your heart? Phoenix Sage, you really don't care about the title of the first great saint? The golden-winged great rock was slightly taken aback and asked curiously. Feng Wu nodded solemnly, this saint is speaking from the bottom of my heart. Sigh. The golden-winged great rock sighed, if this saint had the same temperament as Phoenix Sage when I first became a great saint, why would I have to wait until today to break through the bottleneck? You're wrong, Rock Saint. Feng Wu smiled, if it weren't for the unyielding spirit of the past, I wouldn't have broken through the bottleneck today. If I hadn't taken 1 step at a time, how could I have reached my goal with such difficulty? That's what that human grand ascension stage cultivator often says, right? The golden-winged great rock asked in a probing manner. Feng Wu nodded, you're right, Rock Saint. I've benefited greatly from following fellow Taoist Shao. I'm extremely envious that you have such a good friend, Phoenix Sage. The golden-winged great rock seemed to be implying something as he spoke. Feng Wu smiled, fellow Taoist Shao is an approachable cultivator. If Rock Saint wants to, you can gather some information about his past. You'll be able to draw your own conclusions from this information, so there's no need for me to say anything. On top of that, if Rock Saint wants to, I can also introduce you to Taoist Shao. Getting to know Taoist Shao. I feel like it's a bit of a stretch. After all, I had a battle with him today, and it almost ended in a battle of life and death. The golden-winged great rock's tone was somewhat lacking in confidence. I just want Phoenix Sage to sound out Taoist Shao and see if he believes me. You're wrong, Rock Saint. Feng Wu raised an eyebrow, and the sound of wind and thunder rang out from his wings. There's a saying in the human race that no discord, no concord. Didn't I have a battle with Rock Saint? Phoenix Sage is a demon, while Daoist Shao is a human. This is different. The golden-winged great rock smiled bitterly. Humans are the most petty and vengeful of all. I don't dare to believe him. Time will reveal a person's heart. Feng Wu smiled. In the future, Rock Saint will naturally know what kind of cultivator Daoist Shao is. Oh, of course, that's if you have the time. Actually. The golden-winged great rock hesitated. I have to thank Daoist Shao for being able to break through my bottleneck today, but I'm afraid that Daoist Shao will misunderstand, so I don't dare to say too much. Feng Wu naturally knew what Xiao Hua's impression of the first great saint of the demon race was, so he smiled. Don't worry, Rock Saint. Daoist Shao should believe your words. Otherwise, why would he let you go? Humph. The golden-winged great peng bird harumphed coldly upon hearing that Xiao Hua intended to let it go. If I want to leave, not even the patriarch can do anything about it. Even though Daoist Shao is a grand ascension stage human cultivator, he's not confident in being able to keep me here, is he? Feng Wu smiled. That's true. Rock Saint's movement technique is number 1 in the demon race. Daoist Shao really might not be able to catch up to you. Huh, not necessarily, not necessarily. The golden-winged great rock realized his attitude was inappropriate and hurriedly shook his head. Daoist cultivators have many tricks up their sleeves. Perhaps Daoist Shao has some powerful movement technique. Feng Wu smiled and scanned behind him with his essence sense, but didn't see the 5-colored seashell or the flying feather void beast. He thought for a moment and said, Rock Saint, since you didn't send a message to Peng Jun of Shrouding Sky Ridge, who do you think it was? This. The golden-winged great rock hesitated. Feng Wu hurriedly said, Don't worry, Rock Saint, this is just a casual chat between us. I know you don't have any idea, or you would have told Daoist Shao. Why are you covering for someone else? AI. The golden-winged great rock sighed. Actually, I already have a rough idea of who it is. I have a rough idea of who's behind this, but if I hadn't broken through my bottleneck and broken through to the void-shattering realm, and if you weren't a 7-star great saint, the Great Holy Hall would have most likely revered you in the future. The safety of the Great Holy Hall and the 1,000-demon sacred realm would have fallen on your shoulders. I wouldn't have told you. Oh. Is it that serious? Feng Wu was also stunned and asked in confusion. Of course. The golden-winged great Peng's voice was filled with authority as he replied, to think that a demonic beast would use this saint to give orders. This clearly shows that they don't respect this saint or the great holy temple. These demonic beasts have ulterior motives. What they want to do is beneficial to the 1,000-demon sacred realm? What do you mean, Rock Sage? Feng Wu seemed to understand something. That's right. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the Pentaceratops dragon's doing. The golden-winged great rock said firmly. Feng Wu smiled and looked at the golden-winged great rock. Didn't you just say you weren't sure? Why are you so sure now? Of the 6 great saints of the Great Holy Hall, only I and the Pentaceratops dragon would covet the dragon. Since it wasn't me, then, it could only be the Pentaceratops dragon. Seeing that Feng Wu didn't believe him, the golden-winged great rock's tone became colder. He said unhappily, besides, he's been coveting my position as the first great saint of the demon race for a long time. In the entire demon race, he's the only one who dares to do something behind my back. Of course it's him. Also. The golden-winged great rock hesitated, then added, according to what I know, the Pentaceratops dragon seems to be in contact with some elders of Dragon Island. Otherwise, he wouldn't know about Daoist Zhao's relationship with the dragon race. Do you have any evidence, Rock Sage? Feng Wu asked with a smile. The golden-winged great rock stiffened and said coldly, My words are evidence. If you don't believe me, then so be it. In fact, if I hadn't broken through, I definitely wouldn't have said what I said today. I also wouldn't have schemed to find a chance to be alone with you. After all, a human Mahayana stage is only a human Mahayana stage. Even if you're stronger than me, so what? As for inviting you, that's because I respect you as a great saint of the demon race. I also want to borrow your power to restrain the Pentaceratops dragon. As for other thoughts, I don't have them. Chapter 44-25. Seeing the golden-winged great Peng bird speak directly like Peng Jun, Fengwu also secretly felt respect for it. Although the strength of the golden-winged rock was there and there was no need to hide it, this was also related to the nature of the golden-winged rock. In fact, when Xiaohua learned that the little white dragon had been suppressed by Bai Qingyu, he had discussed this matter with Fengwu and the other clones. All of them felt that this matter might not necessarily have anything to do with the 6 great sages of the Great Sage Hall. After all, Xiaohua's strength was only at the 5th or 6th level of origin energy. He was not even comparable to Bai Qingyu, so how could he possibly fall into the eyes of the great sages of the demon race? However, the appearance of the golden-winged Great Peng, the flying feather void beast, and the 5-colored sea god shell in Bai Qingyu was out of Xiaohua and Fengwu's expectations. However, from the mouths of the 3 great saints, they heard something fishy and knew that they might have been deceived by the Monster King. However, at that time, all the explanations and speculations would be useless. Only by fighting and determining the victor would they have the right to speak. Therefore, when victory was within their grasp, whether it was Xiaohua or Fengwu, they more or less had compassion in their hearts and did not truly beat the 3 great saints to death. Especially later, when Xiaohua revealed a portion of his strength, the 3 great saints saw Xiaohua's sincerity. Although the 3 great saints didn't say anything, when they fought, they still left some leeway. Because at such a supreme realm, who would really risk their lives if there wasn't a great enmity between them? Not to mention that everyone had already realized that something was wrong. At that time, the fight was more about face. Because of this, when Xiaohua was sucked into the great rainbow shell realm by Bai Xian, Fengwu pulled the 3 great sages out of this matter. She stopped them and began to talk about romance. The 3 great sages naturally knew what Fengwu was thinking. This was also the reason why the golden-winged great rock had invited Fengwu after part of the truth had been revealed. Because he already knew that Fengwu was the great sage of the demon race, even though Fengwu had a very close relationship with Xiaohua. Fengwu accepted the invitation with ease because he knew very well that even the 3 great saints didn't have the strength to make things difficult for him. The 3 great saints definitely wouldn't make things difficult for him because of Bai Qingyu. However, after seeing the rare humble attitude of the golden-winged great rock and what he said just now, Fengwu suddenly understood that Bai Qingyu's matter might be very small and not worth the attention of the great sage of the Great Sage Temple, but this matter had caused a lot of trouble, and the power behind it had a lot to plan. This plan had originally been hidden under the ice river, but Bai Qingyu's matter had exposed it all at once. Furthermore, the power of the Great Sage Hall's 6 great sages was balanced. Suddenly, the golden-winged Great Peng broke through the bottleneck and became a great saint himself. In an instant, the balance between the entire Great Sage Temple and the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm was broken. In particular, his strength had suppressed the ambitious mystic armored Pentaceratops. If the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm wanted to reach a new equilibrium, it would be impossible without some turbulence. Thinking of this, Fengwu smiled and said to the golden-winged Great Peng, "Sage Peng, I understand what you mean. However, I've already said that I won't interfere in any of the Great Sage Temple's affairs, and I won't allow any power to interfere in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm. Therefore, I'm afraid your hopes will be dashed." TCH. The golden-winged Great Peng sneered, "When the mystic armored Pentaceratops became a great saint, I happened to pass by. The mystic armored Pentaceratops was afraid that I would disturb his celestial worship, so he swore many things in front of me and almost swore a demon oath. With my character, how could I possibly stop the birth of a great saint of the demon race? I didn't pay any attention to him and even stood guard for him. But what happened in the end? He didn't fulfill a single word of his and even frequently caused trouble for me. How could he still be the mystic armored Pentaceratops of that day? Moreover, if you don't want to establish your power in the thousand demons' sacred realm, why did that human Mahayana realm take Bai Qingyu, heaven-obscuring ridge, and ancient Bell Mountain for himself? Why would a human Mahayana realm cultivator want territory in the thousand demons' sacred realm? Feng Wu waved a hand with a faint smile, and said, "There's a saying in the human race that distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. You can just wait and see what I think in the future, Sage Peng." "I won't agree to what you just said, Sage Peng. I won't interfere in the karma of the great sage temple." "Hee hee." The golden-winged Great Peng chuckled coldly, "Seeing as you've already become a great saint, you've already been tainted by the karma of the great sage temple. Just like today, I had no relationship with that human Mahayana realm cultivator, but I was still dragged into this mess. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that human Mahayana realm cultivator had a good character, Sage Bei, and I would have been severely injured even if we didn't lose a grade. This is also why I wanted to befriend that human Mahayana realm cultivator." A thought seemed to have occurred to the golden-winged Great Peng at this point, and he stiffened his neck as he said, "This isn't me admitting defeat. If he wants to fight me, then you can help me accept it." "Ha." Feng Wu laughed heartily as he flapped his wings, and said, "Sage Peng, you really are an interesting demon. Compared to the craftiness of Sage Ni and Sage Bei, I think Daoist Shao would be more willing to befriend you." "How crafty can Sage Bei be?" The golden-winged Great Peng chuckled coldly, "He doesn't even have a brain." Feng Wu could tell from Bai Qing's confusion. On top of that, Sage Ni is inferior to the Pentaceratops. Feng Wu naturally couldn't take the golden-winged Great Peng's words at face value, but he still said, "That's true. Among our demon race, it seems that the dragon race is the most crafty. From the ordinary dragon race to the dragon kings of the four seas, then to the 9 elders of the dragon palace. In the future, if anyone dares to call foxes cunning in front of me, I'll break their nose. In the face of dragons, foxes are like 3-year-old toddlers." "Ha, that's right, that's right." Although Feng Wu didn't mention the Pentaceratops, the golden-winged Great Peng felt the same way. He laughed heartily and flapped his wings, causing a gust of wind to blow within 100 miles. He looked at Feng Wu with a much friendlier expression. After the golden-winged Great Peng finished laughing, Feng Wu said seriously, "Sage Peng, if we want to find the so-called mastermind, we might as well think about it and start from the nearest place." "Oh? What do you mean, Sage Peng?" The golden-winged Great Peng was straightforward. At this moment, he almost treated Feng Wu as an old friend and asked curiously. Feng Wu thought for a moment and asked, "Sage Peng, I have a question for you." "Please speak, Sage Peng." The golden-winged Great Peng nodded and replied, "In the words of the human race, I'll tell you everything I know. I want to know why Sage Peng, Sage Ni, and Sage Bei came to Bai Qingyu. I remember that Sage Peng didn't come because of Peng Jun's message, right? Since it wasn't arranged in advance, how did Sage Peng get here in time?" Feng Wu's phoenix eyes flashed as she asked the golden-winged Great Peng. "Hee hee, so that's the problem." The golden-winged Great Peng laughed. "When I first came to Bai Qingyu, I also thought about it. However, it seems that coming to Bai Qingyu has nothing to do with the Pentaceratops. I'm afraid it's Sage Ni's little scheme." "Oh? What do you mean?" Feng Wu raised her eyebrows and asked. Then the rock sage explained everything in detail. Only then did Feng Wu understand. It turned out that Feng Wu had become a great saint in the South Sea Dragon Palace's great array and had triggered a change in the starry sky of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. The golden-winged rock and the other great saints of the demon race all flew out of their cultivation grounds and headed towards the great sage temple. They were all prepared to welcome the new great saint there. However, because Heavenly Phoenix had destroyed the star bridge leading to the great sage hall, Feng Wu didn't go. Therefore, the 6 great sages waited in vain at the great sage hall. The 6 great sages didn't gather often, so they took this opportunity to stay in the great sage hall for a while. During this time, the golden-winged Great Peng received a message from Tsang Yuetian saying that there were changes in the 3 demon territories in the far north. After reading the message, the golden-winged Great Peng discussed with the other 5 great sages and invited the scarlet flame vermilion bird to the far north to take a look. At the same time, the flying feather void beast also received a message. He invited the 5-colored sea god Shell and the golden-winged Great Peng to come to Bai Qingyu, saying that there would be a good show to watch. The golden-winged Great Peng was unwilling to come to Bai Qingyu, but the flying feather void beast insisted on inviting him. Therefore, the golden-winged Great Peng followed the flying feather void beast and the 5-colored sea god Shell to Bai Qingyu. The matter of going to the far north was left to the other 3 great sages. After the golden-winged Great Peng finished speaking, Feng Wu asked curiously, "So, it wasn't Taoist Zhao's 200,000 Fortune Gates disciples that lured Sage Peng here?" "Hee, of course not." The golden-winged Great Peng laughed. "This Holy One was shocked when we arrived here. Since when did so many high-level humans enter the 1,000 Demons' sacred land? At that time, this Holy One thought that Sage and I had received the news in advance. There should be a transmission passage from the Great Holy Hall to Bai Qingyu, right?" Feng Wu asked again, "Otherwise, Sage Peng and the others wouldn't have arrived in such a timely manner." The golden-winged Great Peng didn't hide anything and nodded. "There is a demonic formation in the Great Holy Hall that can draw on the power of the moon and stars to reach most places in the 1,000 Demons' sacred land. We came here with the help of the demonic formation. However, the demonic beasts can only go from the Great Holy Hall to other places, and not from other places." The golden-winged Great Peng suddenly thought of something and flapped his wings. "This Holy One forgot. Sage Phoenix has never entered the Great Holy Hall, and the Star Bridge can sense the star runes on Sage Phoenix's body. Sage Phoenix can rely on this connection to summon the Star Bridge in the Great Holy Hall. Since Sage Phoenix is a 7 stars great sage, the Rainbow Bridge also has the power of 7 stars. Not to mention this Holy One, Sage and I, and Sage Bay can borrow Sage Phoenix's light. Even Sage Dragon, Sage Spider, and Sage Sparrow can be guided to the Great Holy Hall. P.S. Sagittarius Constellations, Nostalgia, Moonlight, Birthday Update. I hope everyone has a happy time. Chapter 44-26. So that's how it is. Feng Wu smiled. No wonder I can sense the location of the Great Holy Temple no matter where I am in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm. Especially when I was sparring with Sage Peng, I felt a kind of suction force. So that's how it is. The golden-winged rock laughed when he heard Feng Wu call their previous fight a spar. He said, "Earlier, I resented Saint and I for scheming against me. However, after thinking about how I benefited from this disaster, I can't be bothered to argue with him anymore." "That's right," Feng Wu said earnestly. "There's a saying in the human race that unity is a fortress. If the 7 sages of the Great Holy Temple can't work together, how can we?" At this point, Feng Wu was at a loss for words. "Yes, what can we do? Resist the invasion of the human race? Resist the enemy?" However, Feng Wu's eyes turned, and she hurriedly covered it up. "How can we resist the Dragon Island's instigation? How can we avoid a disaster?" "What Sage Feng said is true," the Golden Rock shouted. "The dragon race is clearly a branch of the demon race, but they want to call themselves the dragon race and split themselves off. They even created a dragon island to compete with the Great Holy Temple. There are 4 dragon palaces in the 4 seas, and they are even more powerful than the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm. Damn it, the more I look at them, the more I dislike them. Also, this Pentaceratops, on the surface, seems to be at odds with the Dragon Island, but who knows how many tricks they have up their sleeves." Cough cough. Feng Wu coughed twice, looked back, and changed the topic. "I wonder when Sage and I and Sage Bay will arrive?" "Them? Humph," the Golden Rock said with disdain. "They won't arrive until nightfall." "Oh, right, Sage Feng, What method did that Mahayana human use? Even the old ancestor had to admit defeat. Also, what are those countless lights? It seems like, even Sage Bay was affected. Sage Bay kept saying that his bloodline was taken away. How can that be true? Feng Xing pondered for a moment and said in a low voice, "This seems to be one of Spiritual Master Zhao's divine abilities. It is extremely powerful and should be related to bloodline. Taoist Master Zhao is very secretive about this kind of divine ability, and even I don't know much about it. However, if nothing unexpected happens, the five-colored sea god's shell is right. The sea god's bloodline of the Shell clan should have been taken away." Ah. Is that true? The Golden Rock was stunned to hear this. Is this human grand ascension stage being really that powerful? What do you think, Sage Peng? Feng Wu asked with a smile. If that wasn't the case, how could this sage be friends with him? Didn't I say so earlier? Taoist Zhao has helped me a lot in becoming a great sage. Although I don't know how the old ancestor helped Sage Peng become a great sage, this sage feels that. Taoist Zhao's help to this sage is definitely no less than the old ancestor's help to you. No wonder. The golden-winged great Peng bird nodded in response. In that case, I can forgive you for helping that grand ascension stage human. Feng Wu naturally didn't care about the golden-winged great Peng bird's forgiveness, but he still smiled. Since Sage Peng knows about this sage's difficulties, then it's easy to talk about it. If this sage can become friends with Taoist Zhao, then it'll be good for my thousand beast sacred realm. Didn't you see? Although the old ancestor has been defeated and her natal shell has been destroyed, she still doesn't dare to do anything to Taoist Zhao. Sigh, as a junior, I don't care so much about the old ancestor's matters. It's just a pity that the five-colored sea god shell was originally ranked 4th, but now he's ranked last among the 7 great sages. Even if he's ranked last among the 7 great sages, he's still a great sage. It's better than losing his life. Feng Wu replied indifferently. Without the sea god's bloodline, Sage Peng bird's chances of shattering the void have become even slimmer. The golden-winged great Peng bird sighed. Feng Wu didn't think much of it. No one said that becoming a great sage means that one will definitely be able to shatter the void. Among the 7 great sages, perhaps only Sage Peng bird can shatter the void. Hee hee. The golden-winged great Peng bird was rather pleased by Feng Wu's flattery. He laughed a few times and said, "You're right, Sage Peng bird. Everyone sweeps the snow in front of their own door. Don't worry about the frost on the roof of their house." Yes, yes. Feng Wu nodded. We've already reached this level, so it's better not to think too much about scheming. Instead, we should think about how to reach the highest level. Oh, right, this sage doesn't know much about the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm. Can Sage Peng bird explain more about it? Well said, well said. The golden-winged great Peng bird was in a good mood. Before the 5-colored sea god shell and the flying feather void beast flew over, he told Feng Wu a little about the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm. When the stars shone, the 5-colored sea god shell and the flying feather void beast did indeed arrive. The 2 great sages were very tactful. They didn't ask who the victor was. When the golden-winged great Peng bird told them about how Feng Wu had used the star bridge to enter the great sage palace, the 2 great sages had no objections. Thus, Feng Wu raised her head and let out a phoenix cry. Her huge demonic body spread out. Then, on her back, the star patterns of the Big Dipper rotated. 7 pillars of stars fell from the Big Dipper in the starry sky. Then, the star patterns turned into a spinning shadow and rushed out. The moment the star patterns turned into a star shadow, Feng Wu sensed the location of the Great Sage Palace. Without thinking too much, Feng Wu spread her wings. At the same time, her demonic body soared into the sky. The 7 star shadows also soared high into the sky. After the shadow spun a few times like a stream of light, boom. A rainbow bridge came through the sky. It was actually the same as the one Feng Wu saw in the Southern Sea Dragon Palace. Sage Peng Bird is indeed a 7-star great sage. Seeing that the arched rainbow bridge turned into 7 colors, the golden-winged great Peng Bird clapped his hands and shouted, "Even the star bridge is 7 colors. Come, 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 Saint and I, Saint Shell, let's each take a color." As he spoke, the golden-winged great Peng Bird landed on the yellow star bridge without waiting for Feng Wu's agreement. The flying feather void beast and the 5-colored sea god seashell looked at each other with understanding in their eyes. The 2 saints didn't say anything and each took a color. When the 3 saints landed on the bridge naturally didn't move. However, when Feng Wu's phoenix claw landed on the bridge, the space within a radius of 10,000 miles began to tremble. Then, thousands of light shadows appeared in the surroundings. These light shadows connected with the rainbow bridge's colors. Countless illusory stars were born in the light shadows, and on the other side of the bridge, an incomparably majestic palace appeared. This palace was naturally the Great Sage Palace. As soon as the Great Sage Palace appeared, it rapidly enlarged and gradually became clearer. In a trance, Feng Wu discovered that the space around him had unknowingly changed. The rainbow bridge under his feet had disappeared at some point in time. Not only was the starry sky no longer high up in the sky, but it was below his feet. Layers of nebulae flowed above his head like a river. The golden-winged great Peng Bird, the flying feather void beast, and the 5-colored sea god shell that were standing near him also disappeared. Strange. Feng Wu glanced around and found so many strange things. He couldn't help but mutter in his heart. But the moment his eyes moved, the originally tall Great Sage Palace seemed to have been hit by a pen. The entire palace was completely distorted, turning into an enormous vortex and condensing into an extremely small dot of light. When Feng Wu looked at the dot of light again, it suddenly shrank and turned into a pitch-black dot that was close to nothingness. Hiss! Feng Wu sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes also shrank into dots of light. He seemed to have sensed something. Feng Wu's heart skipped a beat. A powerful and unparalleled suction force appeared in the small dot and rushed out in a spiral shape. The entire starry sky, the flowing nebulae, and the 7-star patterns on Feng Wu's back, which were Feng Wu's body, suddenly distorted and were pulled in by the suction force. It was very strange. Feng Wu felt that her consciousness had been divided into 14 parts. 7 of them fell into a small dot as if they had been crushed. The shattering of the entire starry sky, the rotation of light and shadows, and the shattering of the brilliance of the nebula were all vivid in her mind. Meanwhile, the other 7 were nailed to the spot and could only watch as their surroundings turned into pitch-black darkness and finally disappeared into nothingness. Boom! The moment the shadows completely disappeared, the small dot suddenly exploded. Countless ripples of all kinds rushed out from the small dot. Every inch of the ripples would transform into different things. First, it was light, then shadows, then dust, nebulae, stars, and so on. Many things that Feng Wu had never seen before flew out. When all of them landed in various parts of the darkness, a star slowly flew out from the small dot. The moment this star flew out, many things disappeared. Only the starry sky that Feng Wu was familiar with was revealed once again. Moreover, the stars in the starry sky gradually rotated in the starry sky as the star grew larger. Each star's trajectory was different. Whoosh! When the star grew larger, the starlight of the star flashed again, and the shadow of the palace appeared. This shadow was the same as the star patterns on Feng Wu's body. It was not solid. When the shadow took shape, the star completely disappeared. Boom, boom, boom. The entire starry sky shook again. All the stars fell from the starry sky and crashed into the shadow of the palace. In the blink of an eye, a majestic great sage palace that was completely made of stars appeared once again. Woo! 7 howling winds transformed into the cries of phoenixes. In the great sage hall, where the Big Dipper had crashed into, 7 palace doors appeared, each of which was engraved with the words, Great Sage Hall. When the 7 palace doors opened at the same time, 7 stars gushed out and covered Feng Wu's consciousness in 7 different places. Just as the stars fell, the 7 consciousnesses worked together again. Wu. The 7 stars merged into one and formed an even larger star. Where the star landed, the heavenly phoenix demonic body, which had disappeared to an unknown location, appeared again. Ka-cha-cha. Countless bolts of lightning appeared around the Great Sage Hall, and wherever the lightning struck, countless stars would appear. The 7 palace doors transformed into an even larger star door, and Feng Wu slowly flew towards the star door amidst the starry sky. Chapter 44-27. Every time Feng Wu got closer to the Star Gate, the accumulation of tens of thousands of years under the South Sea Dragon Palace, or even hundreds of thousands of years, melted bit by bit. Just like Xiao Hua's epiphany between life and death, it turned into starlight and fell into his consciousness. At the same time, the mysteries of the starry sky derived from the Great Sage Hall were also engraved in his star marks and consciousness. Feng Wu didn't know if time had any meaning here. Perhaps it was in the blink of an eye, or tens of thousands of years. He didn't feel anything at all. He only knew that everything was changing, but he didn't know what exactly had changed until his figure fell into the Star Gate. Boom. Feng Wu's consciousness was completely blank again. Just like how the Great Sage Hall was annihilated and reborn, all his consciousness gathered at one point and then reborn again. This cycle repeated a total of 7 times before Feng Wu saw that he was in a vast starry sky again. The starry sky was everywhere, up, down, left, and right. In the center of the starry sky, there were 6 stars that stood out. However, among the 6 stars, 3 of them were shining brightly, while the other 3 were dim and lightless. This is the Great Sage Hall? A proud voice came out of Feng Wu's mouth. It was the same voice as Feng Wu's, but the tone was completely different. Wasn't this the consciousness of the heavenly phoenix? Oh. The corner of the heavenly phoenix's mouth twitched, because he had already seen the figures of the golden-winged great roc, the flying feather void beast, and the 5-colored sea god shell within the 3 starlights. Phoenix Sage. The golden-winged great roc's voice came from one of the starlights, and then the star slowly transformed, revealing a huge golden-winged great roc. Without entering the Great Sage Hall, without going through the baptism of the starry river, you will never be a true great saint. Now, you are qualified to call yourself Phoenix Sage. A 7-star great saint is indeed different. The flying feather void beast also appeared in another star. You just entered the Great Sage Hall, and your starlight is 7 times brighter than mine. Oh, your starlight has already materialized. The heavenly phoenix's gaze swept over, and he could already tell that the star formed by the golden-winged great roc was much more solid, while the flying feather void beast and the 5-colored sea god shell were much more illusory. The rainbow sea god seashell also forced a smile onto its face. The holy phoenix's starlight has already been withdrawn, and it's not far from materializing. Boom, boom, boom. Before the 5-colored sea god seashell could finish, in the starry sky, the 7 stars shine brightly. Along with this light, the star patterns on the heavenly phoenix's back suddenly rush out of the monster body. An extremely strong suction force is generated from the star patterns. This suction force ignores space and falls into the 7 stars. Boom. The 7 stars shattered at the same time and issued a loud sound. They turned into countless stardust particles and fell into the ruins of the Big Dipper. What's going on? Even the 5-colored seashell and the flying feather void beast were shocked. They had never seen anything like this before, nor had they seen anything like this in the records of the Great Sacred Hall. They didn't know what was going on. After the 7 stars shattered, the 7 spots were empty. However, this wasn't the end. Immediately after, 6 more stars lit up. The 6 pillars of stars fell on 6 of the 132 million dots. The bloodlines of the 6 dots began to mutate within the pillars of stars. As they fused with the transparent body, 6 star patterns slowly formed on the transparent body. Every tiny star pattern carried a mysterious aura, as well as a vast and unparalleled power of the stars and moon. Unlike the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, the 6 stars of the Southern Dipper had transformed into shadows. The 6 stars of the Southern Dipper? How is this possible? The golden-winged rock's body couldn't turn into a star under the starlight of the heavenly phoenix and had been forced to turn into a monster body. Seeing this, he cried out in disbelief, could it be that the 7-star great saint is going to become a 13-star great saint? No, it's not just that. The flying feather void beast's eyes were filled with extreme terror. Its tentacles pointed at the stars that lit up one after another. It was almost as if they were about to explode. The great golden-winged rock shifted his gaze away from the heavenly phoenix and looked towards the starry sky. Sure enough, the stars lit up one by one, and pillars of starlight fell from the sky, blasting into the heavenly phoenix's demonic form. The heavenly phoenix's demonic form gradually began to expand, enveloping the entire great sage hall. In front of this gigantic demonic form, the demonic form that the great golden-winged rock was so proud of was like a sparrow. The pillars of stars in the sky finally converged into a river of stars. Countless mysteries of the stars filled the great sacred hall as if they were free. The 5-colored seashell could no longer think with his body. When he looked at the great sage hall again, it no longer looked like a sacred hall. Instead, it had turned into a gigantic planet. This planet was made up of tens of millions of planets, and every single one of them had turned into a pitch-black vortex. These vortexes were filled with a strange and powerful suction force. Not only did they suck in the surrounding light and shadows, but they also drew in endless stars through the mysterious bridge of stars. This corresponded to the brilliant starry sky above the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. It was as bright as day. In the extreme north of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm, there was a thick layer of ice as far as the eye could see. There was no sun or blue sky in the sky. Layers of dark clouds completely covered the horizon, and goose feather-like snowflakes filled the world and fell. There was no wind in the sky, only the falling snowflakes. The mountains of different heights didn't look like mountains at all. All that was left was a faint outline. There was a huge ice plain between the mountains, and there were no traces of the demon race on it. The fluffy snow was like a wrinkle-free quilt covering the earth. Occasionally, there would be a hard layer of ice between the mountain peaks. It was abnormally translucent. When the snowflakes fell, they would instantly become a part of the ice layer. At the moment when the snowflakes were frozen, the ice threads reflected the sky full of snow. The ice was like a mirror. It was as if snow was pouring out from the sky and earth, majestically surging through the world. Puff! Out of nowhere, there was a sudden movement in the snow-white world. Then, there was another puff, puff, puff sound. There was a place full of black holes in the snowy plains. The holes were not big, only a few inches wide. They were like eyes that had been born out of the earth, looking straight at the gloomy sky. Who? When a small red head poked out of the hole, a chubby little face appeared in the light of the snow. The most spirited feature on the little face was the pair of eyes. 2 red agate-like eyeballs were rolling around on the crimson face. Below the eyes was the most striking nose on the little face. The nose actually took up 40% of the little face. There were even a few pieces of snow stuck on the nose. The snow slowly melted under the hot breath exhaled from the nostrils and dripped onto the mouth below the nose. As if it was itchy, the little mouth opened slightly, revealing 2 sharp, snow-white incisors. Slurp. Between the incisors, a small pink tongue quickly curled around the lips, and the snow instantly disappeared. After the small tongue retracted, the little mouth happily moved up and down. Gee. Sounds came from within. After a few more cries, 3 red claws stretched out from under the little head. Each of the claws was holding a demonic fruit that was only a few inches long. Crunch crunch. The little head lowered, and the sharp teeth landed on the demonic fruit. In a few breaths' time, the demonic fruit was completely devoured. In the end, the pink tongue licked the 3 claws again, sweeping away the remains and juice of the demon fruit. At this place, crunch crunch. Sounds of crunching could be heard everywhere, covering the sound of snow falling from the sky. Tens of thousands of little heads like this had already appeared in the snow plains, and each of them greedily ate the demonic fruit. These cute little creatures were the commonly seen autumn rats in the northernmost part of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Crunch crunch. The sounds of crunching were extremely rhythmic, but all of a sudden, all of the sounds stopped. All of the autumn rats put down the demonic fruit that they were eating, and their little heads swayed left and right with all their might. Their eyes were filled with panic. Swoosh. Just a few dozen feet away from these autumn rats, a sound suddenly came from a small pile of snow. A white figure flashed out from the pile of snow, and pounced on the closest autumn rat. Puff. Where the white figure landed, a red light flashed from within the hole, and the autumn rat had already fallen into the snow. The white figure's figure only caused snow and dust to fly, but it did not manage to grab a single strand of the autumn rat's red hair. At this moment, the white figure's figure was revealed. It was the autumn rat's natural enemy, the snow spear. This snow spear was like a leopard cat, but its 4 hooves were closer to the sides of its body, and there was an almost transparent membrane between its hooves. When the snow spear's attack missed, its membrane flapped again, and its body floated like a snowflake. It was as fast as lightning, and it attacked the closest autumn rat. Swoosh. The autumn rat immediately retracted its head, but the snow spear's figure swayed, and it actually abandoned the autumn rat and turned to the other side. Over there, another autumn rat stuck its head out of the hole in the snow, as if it was watching a show. It was not in a hurry to escape, as if a life and death battle on this lonely snowy plains was also interesting. Seeing the snow spear suddenly pounce on it, the autumn rat was greatly frightened. It was already unable to dodge, and its little head only retracted half an inch. Puff. The snow spear's claws landed on the autumn rat's skull with lightning speed, and some green-red blood spurted out while emitting hot air. Once the snow spear succeeded, it did not stop at all. Its membrane flapped, and its figure flew into the distance. Under its sharp claws, the snow spear's corpse dripped with blood, and it fell onto the snowy plains. Looking at the distant autumn rats, as the snow spear flew away, they began to become active again. They did not panic just because an autumn rat was killed, and the autumn rats that were slightly further away did not even notice that an autumn rat was killed. Chapter 44-28. However, just as the snow sprite's sharp claws dragged the autumn rat across the snowy plains and was about to choose a place to eat, the snow sprite's body suddenly stopped. The snow-white fur all over its body exploded with a schwa sound as its entire body silently fell into the snow. Immediately after, the originally tranquil snowy sky in the distant sky suddenly swept up several peerless hurricanes. The hurricanes were like huge spirals that swept across the sky ostentatiously. The fluttering snowflakes and the seemingly solidified red clouds in the sky were stirred up at the same time. It was the appearance of a storm. What was special was that just as the hurricanes rose, a valiant aura of a king surged over from afar. It couldn't help but fill up the entire sky. Even the snow on the snowy plains and mountain ranges were swept up. Even the solid ice city cracked with creaking sounds. Whoosh. The snow spear instinctively threw away the autumn rat's corpse. Its body didn't run away at all. It immediately rushed into the snow and disappeared in a moment. Looking behind the snow spear, the originally cheerful autumn rats had long disappeared without a trace. Only the corpse of the autumn rat with green-red blood flowing on its head was left staring blankly at the sky, allowing the swirling snowflakes to float past its big nose. The snow spear looked up at the sky. Autumn Rat looked at the sky. As the wind blew and the clouds swayed, 3 huge figures appeared. The first was a dragon. The dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Demonic clouds covered its body. Behind the dragon was a vermilion bird with flames all over its body. The vermilion bird's flames burned the space until it distorted. Its entire body gave off an ethereal feeling. On the vermilion bird's right was a huge spider with a colorful body. This spider was different from ordinary spiders. Its entire demonic body was slightly longer, and its huge claws flashed with a pitch-black luster. Between the spider's carapace and between the joints of its claws, there was a lot of golden fur. The fur swayed in the wind, and a lot of pitch-black demonic chi surged out. The demonic chi was mixed with thick blood. When it landed on the spider's carapace, it actually revealed the shape of dragon scales. What was special was that on the spider's swaying head, some valiant dragon would faintly emerge from a protrusion from time to time. Weren't the 3 demons who had broken the tranquility of the snowland the 3 great saints of the demon race who had come to the northernmost part of the 1,000 demons' sacred realm for an exploration? The mystic armored pentaceratops, the red flame vermilion bird, and the nether dragon spider? The 3 great saints of the demon clan naturally couldn't pay attention to Autumn Rat and Snow Shark on the snowy plains. That huge figure flashed past Autumn Rat's dead eyes, and his vast vital consciousness had already scattered into the distance. Cough cough. The nether demonic dragon spider coughed and said in a hoarse voice, "Dragon Sage, who do you think this new 7-star great saint is? I've been waiting in the Great Sage Hall for so long, but he hasn't come? Could it be that he can avoid the Great Sage Hall's star bridge?" Humph. The mystic armored pentaceratops snorted coldly like thunder. "How would I know? I'm just a 1-star great saint. I don't have the strength to resist the star bridge, but maybe this 7-star great saint can." Kiki. The scarlet flame vermilion bird laughed shrilly. Its voice was very similar to Zhu Mei's in the past. "I just don't know how strong this 7-star great saint is. I wonder who's stronger between him and Rock Sage." The scarlet flame vermilion bird's words seemed to have provoked the pentaceratops. The pentaceratops curled its tail and roared towards the sky. In the sky, a huge hole appeared in the clouds. Behind the hole, a beam of sunlight pierced through the hole. Although the sunlight seemed to have faded, it was still orange in color. Its sharpness pierced through the darkness of the sky. It was as if the pentaceratops was angry. The scarlet flame vermilion bird smiled and said, "Let's not talk about that dog's hit 7-star great saint. Who knows what he is? I'm curious about Sage Ni's actions in the Great Sage Hall." "Sage and I?" The nether demonic dragon spider was slightly taken aback. He asked curiously, "What's so strange about him? This guy is usually very scheming and has always been on good terms with Dragon Sage. This extreme north. If it were normal, he would have instigated Sage Peng to come here." The scarlet flame vermilion bird smiled. After all, Sage Peng's flying speed is extremely fast. If there's any danger, he can easily escape. Why did he insist on dragging Sage Peng to Bai Qingyu for no reason? If he went to flatter the ancestor's descendant, there's no need for Sage Peng to follow him, right? Could it be? Before the nether demonic dragon spider could speak, the mystic armored pentaceratops coldly asked, Could it be what? Could it be that he knows about the 7-star great saint's background?" Then he turned to approach Sage Peng. "Or, could it be that this 7-star great saint is related to the ancestor?" The scarlet flame vermilion bird probed. The nether demonic dragon spider shouted, "Impossible. If this 7-star great saint is related to the ancestor, how could Sage Bei not know?" That day in the Great Sage Hall, he solemnly swore that the ancestor had never appeared in the past 10,000 years. Sage Bei? His head. Oh, wrong, his brainless demonic body. The mystic armored pentaceratops coldly smiled and said, "If he knows about the 7-star great saint's background, this sage will break off his dragon horn and give it to you. Ha, dragon sage, you said it yourself. The nether demonic dragon spider laughed and said, this sage has been coveting your dragon horn for a long time. Damn it, if this sage dares to give it to you, you dare to take it? The mystic armored pentaceratops glared at the nether demonic dragon spider. Although you have the demonic dragon's bloodline, are you sure you can subdue the dragon intent in this sage's dragon horn? Hee hee, how would I know if I don't try? Dragon sage, why don't you let this sage try? The nether demonic dragon spider said shamelessly. Scram! The mystic armored pentaceratops roared and shouted, this sage doesn't have time to dawdle with you. Let's hurry up and see what's going on in the Qijing, Yuanfeng, and Bingqin demon realms, then quickly return to cultivate. Hee hee. Seeing that the mystic armored pentaceratops didn't want to talk about the golden rock, the scarlet flame vermilion bird smiled and said, speaking of Baiqingyu, this sage has some news. What news? The mystic armored pentaceratops' curiosity was piqued, and he couldn't help but ask. Dragon sage, the Qijing demon realm isn't far from here, right? Let's hurry over and take a look. The scarlet flame vermilion bird said solemnly, after all, the 3 demon realms have been completely destroyed, and even the great demons of Tsangyu heaven haven't returned. Damn it, the mystic armored pentaceratops roared. Rumble. A pitch-black thunderbolt appeared out of nowhere. Speak quickly. If you don't speak, this daddy will kill you. Don't be anxious, dragon sage. The scarlet flame vermilion bird replied with a smile, unafraid of the mystic armored pentaceratops. This sage merely happened to hear the discussion of 2 great demons when passing by the dark flux demon realm. At first, this sage didn't pay much attention to it, but when Sage Ni pulled Sage Peng to Baiqingyu in the Great Sage Hall, this sage recalled this matter. Sparrow sage, you are quite scheming. The nether demonic dragon spider said with a smile. You actually restrained yourself from mentioning Baiqingyu's matter until now. Damn it, this sage forgot about it, the scarlet flame vermilion bird shrieked, as though trying to explain. Seeing the scarlet flame vermilion bird trying to delay the matter, the mystic armored pentaceratops said coldly, Sparrow sage, it's up to you whether you want to speak or not. When this sage returns to the Great Sage Hall, I will first tell Sage Ni about this matter. That can't be, dragon sage. The scarlet flame vermilion bird said with a bitter expression. You also know that Sage Ni is the type to seek revenge for the smallest grievance. This sage only knows a little bit of information, so it shouldn't be enough for him to remember it, right? Speak quickly. The mystic armored pentaceratops roared again. The scarlet flame vermilion bird wasn't delaying the matter, he was testing whether the mystic armored pentaceratops really didn't know about Baiqingyu's matter. Unfortunately, he couldn't see anything from the mystic armored pentaceratops' expression. Thus, he said with a smile, this sage heard that Baiqingyu was holding a banquet. It seems that Baiqingyu's demon king suppressed a human cultivator and wanted to use him to attract some humans to serve as food. What kind of bullshit is this? The mystic armored pentaceratops didn't wait for the scarlet flame vermilion bird to finish speaking. The matter of a demon king attracted Sage Ni. Sage Ni even pulled Sage Peng over. Did he think that a human cultivator could lure the human race's sage of literature? Unless the human cultivator was immortal Emperor Go Chen's princess. TCH. The nether demonic dragon spider immediately followed up on the mystic armored pentaceratops' words. If it was immortal Emperor Go Chen's princess, that demon king wouldn't dare to suppress her even if he had 10 times the guts. Spider sage, you're too full of yourself. The scarlet flame vermilion bird laughed. Baiqingyu's demon king is Sage Bei's descendant. So what if he's Sage Bei's descendant? The nether demonic dragon spider asked, unconvinced. Even if Sage Bei wanted to suppress an immortal Emperor Go Chen's princess, he had to consider the consequences. What if it was you, ancestor? The scarlet flame vermilion bird's crimson flames shot up for thousands of feet. This. The nether demonic dragon spider was at a loss for words. The mystic armored Pentaceratops laughed. Spider Sage, don't listen to Sage Vermilion Bird. Why would Ancestor care about a demon king? That's right, that's right. The nether demonic dragon spider immediately glared at the scarlet flame vermilion bird and shouted, why would Ancestor care about a human cultivator? This human cultivator naturally isn't immortal Emperor Go Chen's princess. The scarlet flame vermilion bird didn't care and said casually, as for who she is, I don't know. However, I do know that other than Bai Qingyu, there's also Shrouding Sky Ridge and Ancient Bell Mountain. Shrouding Sky Ridge? Ancient Bell Mountain? The mystic armored Pentaceratops was a bit surprised. Are those all the demon realms of Sage Bai's descendants? Of course not. The scarlet flame vermilion bird laughed. Shrouding Sky Ridge is the demon realm of one of Sage Peng's descendants, and Ancient Bell Mountain is the demon realm of one of Sage Ni's descendants. No wonder you didn't say anything in the Great Sacred Hall. The nether demonic dragon spider waved its claws in the air as if it was laughing. So these three demon realms are related to Sage Peng, Sage Ni, and Sage Bai. That's good. The mystic armored Pentaceratops said faintly, if Sage Peng Qi Jing came, I might be. Hee hee, why would he drag me to Bai Qingyu? He probably has some other plans in mind, right? The mystic armored Pentaceratops suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Its dragon body suddenly emitted a blinding light as it turned into a ray of light and rushed forward. Chapter 44-29. The scarlet flame vermilion bird was taken aback when he saw the profound armored pentahorned dragon's strange behavior. He hurriedly released his Yuan will, and as expected, when he saw the situation in the distance, he was also shocked. He spread his wings and flames burned fiercely. The scarlet flame vermilion bird's huge body also disappeared in a flash. We're already here, what's the hurry? The nether demonic dragon spider muttered as its body shook. Then, a dozen of its claws tore the space apart, and its figure disappeared. When the three great saints of the demon race appeared in the sky, their gazes fell on the ground in front of them, and they remained silent for a long time. Beneath the three great sages was an abyss that spanned 1,000,000 miles. The abyss was at least 10,000 feet deep. Inside the abyss, snowflakes danced in the air, but the strange thing was that the abyss was different from the snow on the ground. At the bottom of the abyss, there was a thin layer of snow. Due to the heat of the earth, there were many places where the dark green soil was exposed to the night sky. However, there seemed to be a layer of phosphorescence in the dark green soil, which shone brightly in the night sky. This abyss was actually so big that one couldn't see the end of it. Layers upon layers of light flickered like sparkling waves. How can this be? After a long while, the nether demonic dragon spider said in a low voice, the whale demon realm is an inland sea, right? How did it become an abyss? The sea is gone, so it naturally became an abyss. The scarlet flame vermilion bird replied in a low voice. He had a bad feeling in his heart. The nether demonic dragon spider said in shock, how can this be? How can millions of miles of sea be gone just like that? Not even a drop of water or a piece of ice is gone. The profound armored pentahorn dragon said coldly, it's not just the water, even the whale demon race was killed. Yes. The scarlet flame vermilion bird sighed. The whale demon race are all sea beasts that are close to 10,000 feet long. In terms of demonic bodies, they don't fear any demon race in the 1,000 demons sacred realm. There are also many great demons in the whale demon race. Although the demon king didn't reach the 8th grade of origin energy, it was close to the 8th grade. The great demons of Blue Moon Sky all died here. How could a demonic beast king with an upper 7th grade elemental energy survive? The profound armored pentahorn dragon said coldly. The problem is. The nether demonic dragon spider said curiously, it's not just the monster kings and great monsters. There are many sea monsters in the Qi Jing demon realm. Apart from the Qi Jing, there are also Ji Bao, Qin Kun, and other monster clans. Although they are not as large as the Qi Jing, they are also very agile. How could they not know how to escape? Take a look at this place. Not only is there no seawater, there isn't even a single piece of flesh or remains. It is indeed rather strange. The profound armored pentagonal dragon said coldly, I'm afraid the humans are up to something. Let's go check it out. Didn't the human race have a saying? If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place. Since you've done it, you'll definitely leave behind some clues. All right. The crimson flame vermilion bird nodded and flapped its wings, flying in a certain direction. The mystic pentaceratops dragon let out a long roar and also flew in a certain direction. Only the netherworld demonic dragon spider hesitated for a moment before it also rushed in a certain direction. In less than an hour, the three great saints had all returned to the sect. Dragon Sage, Sparrow Sage. The netherworld demonic dragon spider was the first to speak. I wonder what you've discovered. This great saint couldn't find anything. This place is extremely strange. There isn't even a trace of a dissipated soul left behind. Everything within hundreds of thousands of miles is a dead zone. The crimson flame vermilion bird nodded as well. That's right. This great saint also couldn't find any clues. There isn't a single trace of the human race or any other demonic beast race that has been here. The profound armored pentagonal dragon looked into the distance and didn't speak for a long time. Although it didn't answer, the crimson flame vermilion bird and the netherworld demonic dragon spider knew that it hadn't discovered anything. Sparrow Sage, Spider Sage. The profound armored pentagonal dragon retracted its gaze from the abyss and said, Did you notice that the bottom of this abyss, as well as the four walls, are all extremely flat? No. The crimson flame vermilion bird was stunned for a moment before it casually replied. Its vital consciousness swept toward the abyss, as well as the place where the abyss connected to the ground in the distance. The crimson flame vermilion bird exclaimed in shock, as expected. This is really strange. How can it be so flat? Could it be that the human race has repaired this place? That's true. The netherworld demonic dragon spider looked at the flat bottom of the abyss and said in agreement, not to mention the mud at the bottom of the Qijing demonic realm's inner sea, there should be a lot of reefs and rocks. But now, there isn't even a trace of them. It's as if the entire demon realm seabed had been flattened by a boulder millions of kilometers in size. What's even stranger is that the four walls look as if they've been cut by a blade. The profound armored pentagonal dragon said coldly. Could it be that the human race is trying to show off to our thousand demonic sacred realm? Or are they trying to express something? Don't think about the human race for now. The crimson flame vermilion bird shook its head. If they wanted to wipe out all the demonic beasts in the Qijing demonic realm, how many high-level cultivators would the human race have to send over? There's no way our thousand demonic sacred realm wouldn't have noticed. Perhaps it's the work of some demonic beast king. Which demonic beast king? Sparrow Sage, why don't you tell us who has the ability to destroy the Qijing demonic realm to such an extent? The profound armored pentagonal dragon retorted. I can say without reservation that even if it's Sparrow Sage, you wouldn't be able to burn the entire Qijing demonic realm to the ground with your scarlet flames. And that's under the circumstances where no information was leaked. That's true. The crimson flame vermilion bird nodded slightly. And the great demons of Tsanyu heaven. The nether demonic dragon spider agreed. Who would dare to attack so brazenly? That's the number one expert of our thousand demonic sacred realm. At this point, the nether demonic dragon spider hurriedly shut its mouth and changed its words. That's the 6 great sages of our thousand demonic sacred realm. Bullshit, it's the 7 great sages now. The profound armored pentagonal dragon cursed. The nether demonic dragon spider was a bit embarrassed and angry, but its claws moved, and it pointed to the bottom of the abyss. And this phosphorescence, it's also strange. It seems to be embedded in the soil at the bottom of the abyss, and even the snow can't cover it. What about the bottom of the abyss? The profound armored pentagonal dragon asked. I haven't seen it yet. The nether demonic dragon spider muttered. The crimson flame vermilion bird smiled. Then I'll have to trouble you to take a look first. This is Spider Saint's innate ability, and it's something we can't compare to. Dragon Saint, Sparrow Saint, please wait a moment. The nether demonic dragon spider nodded, and the demonic chi around its body gradually surged out. The blood-red light was particularly dazzling in the night, and when it waved its claws, demonic clouds similar to the nether demonic chi surged out, and the nether demonic dragon spider's body fell into the abyss. Seeing the nether demonic dragon spider's body disappear, the crimson flame vermilion bird suddenly said, Dragon Saint, you really didn't find anything? Oh. What does Sparrow Saint mean? Could it be that you think I wouldn't say anything if I found something? The profound armored pentagonal dragon asked coldly. The crimson flame vermilion bird chuckled and said in a low voice, That's not it. It's just that I feel that Dragon Saint is the true #1 expert of our great sage temple, so how could you not find anything? Humph. The profound armored pentagonal dragon snorted. Maybe in the past, but with the 7-star great sage, I'm not so sure anymore. Dragon Saint. The crimson flame vermilion bird suddenly changed the topic. Do you think the 7-star great sage has something to do with the Chi whale demonic realm? Oh. The profound armored pentagonal dragon was stunned for a moment, then its eyes lit up. It nodded and said, You're right. The Chi whale demonic realm is an inner sea. If the 7-star great sage became a great sage in the void at the bottom of the sea, then his aura might be blocked by the endless sea. This 7-star great sage is a great sage that has never appeared in our 1,000 demons sacred realm. If he can borrow the power of the moon and stars when he becomes a great sage, then it's not impossible for him to wipe out the entire Chi whale demonic realm. Then there's the question. The crimson flame vermilion bird asked with interest. Why would he wipe out the entire Chi whale demonic realm? Is it because of hatred? Is the 7-star great sage also a member of the sea race? No, it should be to hide his identity. The profound armored pentagonal dragon shook its head. The reason why he didn't use the star bridge to go to the great sage temple is because he doesn't want us to know his true body. According to this conjecture, he also wiped out the entire Chi whale demonic realm to hide his identity. It's fine if he wiped out the entire Chi whale clan. But why would he destroy the entire inner sea? The crimson flame vermilion bird didn't understand. Deliberately mystifying. The profound armored pentagonal dragon was even more certain. So that we can't guess that he did it. Only a 7-star great sage can be unafraid of the rock sage and blue moon heaven, and dare to kill the great demons of blue moon heaven. If that's the case. The crimson flame vermilion bird was shocked. It looked towards the bottom of the abyss and cried out, The spider sage is in danger, quick. The profound armored pentagonal dragon also came to a realization. It hurriedly urged its dragon body and cried out, We'll go help the spider sage. Boom. Just as the two saints landed at the bottom of the abyss, a surge of demonic chi rose from the ground, and the nether demonic dragon spider hurriedly flew out. The mystic armored pentaceratops was startled, and its dragon body flashed with brilliance as it cried out, Spider Saint, did you see something? No. Seeing the two saints coming, the nether demonic dragon spider immediately calmed down and smiled. There's nothing in the abyss. Then why are you so flustered? The crimson flame vermilion bird urged. You really didn't see anything? Whether it's a human, or a demon? No, I really didn't. The nether demonic dragon spider laughed. This saint was afraid that the two great sages would get anxious from waiting, so I came out in a hurry. Humph, spider sage, you're a great sage of our great sage temple. Why are you so cowardly? The crimson flame vermilion bird gave the nether demonic dragon spider some face, but the profound armored pentagonal dragon didn't care at all. Why would this saint be cowardly? The nether demonic dragon spider flatly denied. This saint was afraid that the two of you would get anxious from waiting. Oh, I remember now. There's nothing special within 1,000 miles of the bottom of the abyss. As I travel further down, there seems to be some indescribable changes in the space, but I don't know what exactly it is. I'll have to ask Sage and I to come over and take a look. Chapter 44:30. All right. The Pentaceratops said helplessly, we'll rush to the Yuanfeng and Bingqin demon realms now. If the situation is similar, we'll ask Saint and I to come over first. Just as the Pentaceratops said this, boom. In the night sky, outside the thick red clouds, a huge roar sounded. A huge beam of light from the stars and moons penetrated the clouds and fell. Although the beam of light was very far away from the three great sages, the heavy clouds formed a vortex under the bombardment of the beam of light, which was very obvious in the dark night sky. Then, boom, boom. Another 5 loud roars sounded in succession. The clouds that had been penetrated now had 5 more beams of light from the stars and moons falling. The entire cloud layer seemed to be torn apart by a huge hand. As the wind and clouds surged, the strong power of the stars and moons filled the entire sky. Like a tidal wave, the power of the stars and moons flooded the night sky. Just as the three great sages looked at each other, 1, 2. In just a few breaths, the 6 stars of the southern dipper appeared in the cloud hole. At this time, the 6 stars of the southern dipper connected in the starry sky and proudly looked down on the entire land of the demon race. The brilliant starlight not only illuminated the entire starry sky, but also the 1,000 demons' sacred realm. The 3 great sages were shocked. Before they could think further, boom, boom, boom. 3 slightly soft roars sounded from the 3 great sages. The dragon horn of the Pentaceratops shone brightly, and the star marks engraved on the 5 segments of the dragon horn appeared out of thin air, condensing into a dragon-shaped star in the sky. Many beams of light from the stars and moons fell on it. The dragon horn on the top of its head was revealed. This dragon horn was also different from ordinary dragon horns. It had 5 petals, and each petal was engraved with star marks. These star marks flashed with a black brilliance under the crystal flowers, and they actually condensed into the shape of a dragon star. As for the scarlet flame vermilion bird, each of its wings had half an eye-catching star scar. These star scars emitted starlight along with the scarlet flames. When the pillars of starlight and moonlight fell into these star scars, they also appeared out of thin air like stars. The nether demonic dragon spider was a little different from the other 2 saints. First, blood gushed out from his abdomen, and then, more than half of a blood-colored star mark appeared. The beam of starlight and moonlight first fell on the blood before penetrating the star mark. As the star's shadow rotated, a star shadow emitting the aura of the netherworld appeared below the nether demonic dragon spider. The 8th great saint, the nether demonic dragon spider, cried out in surprise. Not just the 8th great sage. The mystic armored Pentaceratops sensed the surging starlight tide in the entire 1,000 demons' sacred realm, and coldly said, and it's a 6-star great sage. That's impossible, the crimson flame vermilion bird cried out. Since when have the great sages of our 1,000-beast holy realm become so cheap? It had only been a few months, yet 2 great sages had appeared in succession. One is a 7-star great sage, and the other is a 6-star great sage. How are the other great sages supposed to live? Boom, boom, boom. Before the crimson flame vermilion bird's words could even be heard, the entire starry sky was filled with rumbling sounds again, and this time, it didn't stop. Seeing that all the stars in the starry sky had been lit up, the extreme north, which was originally covered by thick layers of clouds, also shone brightly. Endless beams of light from the stars and the moon descended, not only sweeping away all the clouds, but also illuminating the earth as if it was daytime. 7 stars, 8 stars, 9 stars, 10 stars, 11 stars. The nether demonic dragon Pearl stared dumbfoundedly at the stars that lit up one by one. It was still counting in a daze. In the end, it simply stopped counting and roared, "Could it be that a supreme saint of myriad stars has appeared in my 1,000-demon sacred realm? It's not just 10,000 stars." The crimson flame vermilion bird was also somewhat puzzled. He coldly said, "It should be called the 10,000 stars great sage." "No. This isn't a newly ascended great sage." Suddenly, the Pentaceratops mystic armored Pentaceratops pointed at where the Big Dipper was and shouted, "The Big Dipper doesn't have any brilliance at all. It's different from when we became great sages. This should be the work of that mysterious 7-star great sage." At this point, the 3 great sages looked at each other as if they had been enlightened. They shouted in unison, "Great Sage Hall. Galaxy Marrow Cleansing. Quick, let's hurry back to the Great Sage Hall." At this point, the Pentaceratops mystic armored Pentaceratops no longer cared about exploring the Yuan Feng and Bing Qin demon realms. He hurriedly said, "This 7-star great sage is too cunning. He tricked us into coming to the contract whale, and while Saint Ni and the others went to buy Qingyu, he used the star bridge that never disappeared to go to the Great Sage Hall to cleanse his marrow. From the looks of it, he must have grasped the ancient secret of the Great Sage Hall. If I'm not mistaken, he has a great secret. It might even be disadvantageous to us 6 great sages. We must take advantage of the fact that he has yet to complete his purification and kill him." Kill Myriad Star Great Sage? The nether demonic dragon spider was terrified. Even if we 6 great sages join forces, we're still no match for him. If he takes it one step at a time and slowly draws in the power of the stars, we naturally won't be his match. The profound armored pentagonal dragon urged its body forward, not caring whether the nether demonic dragon spider had caught up or not. It yelled, "Unfortunately, his greed is insatiable. He actually wants to activate all the stars in the entire Great Sage Hall. With so many stars wanting to carve star marks on his body, how could he possibly withstand it? Also, if we 6 great sages join forces, won't we take advantage of the time when he's focused on his marrow cleansing to make our move? That's right. Let's go." The vermilion bird also shouted. "If I'm not mistaken, Saint Peng, Saint Ni, Saint Bei, and even the great ancestor should be rushing to the Great Sage Hall. Let's hurry back." The figures of the 3 great sages flashed in the night sky that was as bright as day, leaving behind a seemingly endless abyss that was incomparably cold under the starlight. Seeing that the night was as bright as day, Xiaohua already understood that this was a phenomenon caused by the 7-star great sage, Feng Wu, entering the Great Sage Hall. However, seeing that the stars in the sky had all fallen to dust, Xiaohua was still greatly shocked. He sent a group of disciples and cultivators back to Shenhua continent while he slowly flew in the starry sky. He felt the power of the stars and moon lingering around him like a lover's kiss, and he couldn't help but think to himself, "This heavenly phoenix. What's his background? What's his goal?" That day in the legacy realm, that voice was already extremely strange, and this heavenly phoenix's voice was even more resolute. What has the heavenly phoenix decided? It seems like this decision is very difficult, and it's better to die than to live. Legacy realm, legacy realm. As the name implied, it was a place where the legacy of the younger generation was left behind. If the bloodline of the absolute saint was given to thousands of demons, it would naturally be a legacy. However, if this legacy was completely absorbed by the heavenly phoenix, what would it be? What kind of demon will it become? Absolute sage demon? That day in the legacy realm, this Xiao already felt that it was inconceivable that the heavenly phoenix obtained the bloodline of the absolute sage. Now, looking at the starry sky, this Xiao really doesn't dare to believe it. This demon itself. How big of a secret does it have? The more Xiaohua thought about it, the more he felt that this world was truly too big. He was already a Mahayana realm human, and was considered a supreme existence in the 3 continents. However, in front of these mysteries, he was inferior to an ant. Everything else aside, just the divine punishment that day. Even a demon as strong as Bei Xian couldn't resist at all in the face of the divine punishment. The entire 1,000 demons' sacred realm, the bloodline of an entire continent's shell race, was taken away in that instant. Perhaps, this is the realm that this Xiao should pursue. All of a sudden, Xiaohua himself seemed to have transformed into a phoenix, into a heavenly star that overlooked the stars. All of the ordinary methods of the mortal world could not be seen in his eyes, and even some of the gratitude and grudges became fetters. Of course, it was only for an instant. Xiaohua understood something again. He thought of the scene when he comprehended the primordial violet aura in the primitive continent. He looked at the bright moon and stars, and countless demonic auras in the boundless 1,000 demons' sacred realm. He smiled and said, "This is the Phoenix Parasol's opportunity, and also the Heavenly Phoenix's ambition. It has nothing to do with this Xiao. Life has its order, death has its order. Do what you can and follow the will of the heavens. No matter where you go, don't let down the beautiful scenery by the roadside. This kind of life is interesting, right? I wonder if the Heavenly Phoenix, who bears such a heavy responsibility, knows what this Xiao is thinking." However, this Xiao still can't remember the origin of the Heavenly Phoenix. This memory is too old. Just like the dragon vein. Of course, if nothing unexpected happens, it should be related to the primitive continent. The primitive continent, it's really a mysterious continent. Perhaps if there's a chance, in the future. I'm afraid I'll have to go and take a look again. Roar. Just as he flew more than 10,000 li away from Bai Qingyu, an owl-like demon flapped its wings and pounced toward Xiaohua with a roar. Not only did some black aura seep out from the feathers on this demon's body, the omnipresent splendor of the stars and moon condensed into an illusory figure that was several times larger around him. That demon looked very powerful as it bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Hee. Xiaohua smiled slightly. He raised his right hand, bent his middle finger, and then flicked it. Whoosh! The beam of moonlight shot out from between his fingers like an arrow. Boom! The beam of light hit the center of the demon's eyebrows at lightning speed. The beam of light, which was several feet in size, exploded like fireworks. Aoo. The demon howled as it fell from the sky. It smashed into a mountain valley. Its huge wings flapped weakly, and its entire body twitched. However, the demon couldn't fly at all. Xiaohua looked at this demon that was at the 5th grade of origin power and raised his index finger again. At this time, his index finger was already flashing with sword light. As long as Xiaohua's index finger fell, this demon definitely wouldn't be able to see the sun of tomorrow. However, just as Xiaohua's index finger fell, Xiaohua laughed again. Damn it, why should I compete with this little demon? Not to mention that I'm already a Grand Ascension stage human. Feng Wu is already a Great Sage of the Great Sage Hall. Previously, he was already a 7-star Great Sage. If the golden-winged Great Peng hadn't made a breakthrough recently, the title of number 1 expert of the demon race would definitely belong to Feng Wu. And now, Feng Wu is borrowing the power of the Great Sage Hall to engrave star patterns on his body. I believe that after this opportunity, even the golden-winged Great Peng won't be a match for Feng Wu. This 1,000 demon sacred realm will be his. This little demon is also his subordinate, so I can't make things difficult for him. I can only make things difficult for myself. Chapter 44-31. Ha ha ha. Xiaohua couldn't help but laugh. His figure turned into a streak of light as he flew into the distance. Half a meal later, the monster struggled to get up from the ground. He shook his head as if he had just woken up from a dream. His wings flapped as he shouted, "Damn it, who is this human? How can he be so powerful? I've got nothing better to do." Why would I want to devour a human instead of using the power of the stars and moon? The power of the stars and moon entering my body is equivalent to several years of effort. Why would I waste my time? The monster muttered as he guided the starlight into his body to refine his monster body. Just as the monster said, the Thousand Demons' sacred realm was even more lively than when Feng Wu became a 7-star great saint. This was the power of the stars. It was far more powerful than the power of the 7-star great saints. Countless monsters were cultivating in seclusion, activating their own race's secret technique to guide the stars and moon into their bodies. The realm that had been stagnant for a long time was slowly being pushed forward by the vast tide of stars and moon. At the same time, above the heads of every demon cultivator in the sacred realm of Thousand Demons, there was a trace of faith and worship that could not be detected by the naked eye, divine sense, or other ordinary divine abilities. It passed through space and fell on Xiao Hua, into the crystal-like godhead that could not be seen outside of Xiao Hua's Naiwan palace. With Xiao Hua's current cultivation, he naturally couldn't detect this phenomenon. He saw that all the monsters were cultivating, so he also concealed his aura. However, after flying for a while, he saw a beautiful mountain forest under the moonlight. Green water flowed, and several acres of grass surrounded the mountain forest. It looked like a green carpet. Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. His figure descended and stood on the green grass. His gaze once again sized up the surroundings as he said in a low voice, "Forget it, it'll be here then." Saying that, Xiao Hua raised his hand and took out the yin-yang bracelet that Bai Bo gave him. He sent his divine sense inside and took out Fairy Jing's remains, as well as her bloody clothes. Looking at the clothes, although there was a strong smell of blood on them, Fairy Jing's aura still existed. Smelling this aura, the scenes from when he saw Fairy Jing on Jade Mountain all the way to when she left on Heartbreak Mountain flashed before Xiao Hua's eyes. Xiao Hua really didn't expect that their parting at that time would be forever. He could no longer see that Fairy Jing who carefully hid her lowliness in her heart for fear of being hurt. Deep sorrow filled Xiao Hua's heart. Fairy Jing had died for him, and at the same time, she had died to atone for her sins. But Fairy Jing didn't have to use her own life to pay for this sin. Even if Xiao Hua himself had been suppressed there, Xiao Hua wouldn't have let Fairy Jing use her life to save him. What truly brought Fairy Jing to this point was the love in her heart. That love had actually become a burden. While making her surpass the heartless water, it also made her unable to bear the burden. Xiao Hua whispered. Rather than talking to Fairy Jing, it was better to say that he was talking to himself. Fairy Jing, I have already taken your soul into the Shenhua continent. I believe that when you enter the cycle of reincarnation, you will be a different person. In this life, this Xiao has been acquainted with you, but I've failed to live up to your feelings. If it weren't for this Xiao, perhaps you would have been able to live a peaceful life. Of course, this Xiao really didn't know the pain in your heart that day and misunderstood you, thinking that you were a woman who was greedy for power. Now, this Xiao knows what you're thinking and has already fulfilled your dying wish. This Xiao originally wanted to bury your remains in the Shenhua continent as a memento. But, this life is this life, and the next life is the next life. You definitely don't like living in this life, so this Xiao might as well cut off everything in this life and the next life. I believe that this Xiao's choice is also your choice. I hope that you will be happy in the next life and be a carefree woman of the human race. As he spoke, Xiao Hua's figure flashed and sank into the ground. He only stopped when he had traveled a few hundred meters. He looked around and made a grabbing motion with his hand. Poof! A space a few feet wide was grabbed by him, and Xiao Hua sent Fairy Jing's bloody clothes and remains into it. When Xiao Hua stared at the bloody clothes for a moment, it was as if he could see Fairy Jing's dreamy eyes from that day. Those eyes were filled with joy, resentment, happiness, and sorrow. It was as if a net was trying to capture Xiao Hua's gaze, but the moment it was captured, it freed Xiao Hua's gaze. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hope that my thoughts and memories will go with the wind. Xiao Hua sighed. With another swipe of his hand, the space was covered by soil. He believed that it wouldn't be long before everything here became a part of the earth, and there would be no traces left. Oh. Just as Xiao Hua put away his sorrow and prepared to leave this place of sorrow, he suddenly raised his eyebrows. His divine sense swept towards a place on the ground like a tide. When he saw the scene in the distance clearly, he couldn't help but be stunned and actually said in surprise, Why is he here? Amidst his surprised voice, a green brilliance flashed around Xiao Hua's body, and his figure had already disappeared. Thousands of kilometers away, deep within the earth, there was an incomplete nascent soul spirit body that was flashing with a faint spirit light. It was escaping into the depths of the earth, and behind it were hundreds of weasel-like demonic beasts. Their bodies surged with dark green demonic energy as they followed closely behind. The nearest demon beast was only a few hundred feet away from him, and the demon aura and starlight it spat out from its mouth and nose had already landed on the nascent soul's back like a hook. Wasn't this nascent soul spirit body Enchanting, who had been missing for a long time? At this moment, Enchanting was as anxious as a stray dog. His physical body had been killed by the gathering moth beast at Yizhao Ridge, and only his nascent soul had escaped. Shui Mingzi originally wanted to save his nascent soul, but Enchanting already knew Shui Mingzi's intentions. He didn't dare to trust Shui Mingzi, and he also didn't dare to trust Enchanting. Thus, he could only choose to escape by himself. Unfortunately, Enchanting wasn't a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, nor was he an astral projection cultivator. His nascent soul wasn't completely solid, and he only escaped for a few dozen kilometers before he discovered that his nascent soul was showing signs of dissipating. Thus, he didn't hesitate to escape into the ground. This was also the reason why Shui Mingzi, Enchanting, and even He Xiong couldn't find him. When Enchanting felt safe, he hurriedly used his divine ability to return to the hidden immortal continent. However, after flying for half a day, Enchanting discovered that something was wrong. It was already extremely dangerous for a human cultivator with a physical body to fly in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. How could he, a nascent soul spirit body, leave the Thousand Demons sacred realm safely? In just half a day, Enchanting's nascent soul spirit body had already been attacked by several groups of demonic beasts. However, they were only demonic beasts, and not demonic beasts. Enchanting pondered for a moment and knew that he couldn't leave the Thousand Demons sacred realm by himself. Thus, he thought of the other Taoist cultivators who came to the Thousand Demons sacred realm to rescue Xiao Hua. This was because Enchanting learned from Shui Mingzi that other than Shui Mingzi and Enchanting, there might be other Taoist cultivators who had received Xiao Hua's favor. Thus, he wanted to try his luck and see if he could meet other humans who were as enthusiastic as Xiao Hua. Or perhaps, he could meet a fellow Taoist he was familiar with. The Thousand Demons sacred realm was so huge that Enchanting didn't know where to go. He could only follow the route he had discussed with Shui Mingzi and wander around the area, not daring to stray too far away. Xiao Hua only paid attention to the surroundings and neglected the underground. In addition, Enchanting was too careful, so he didn't discover any traces of Enchanting. Later on, when he saw that he was getting closer to Bai Qingyu, Enchanting naturally left the original route and went to look for other cultivators. Very coincidentally, Enchanting encountered Prince Lan attacking Changyu. Seeing Prince Lan's savagery, how could Enchanting dare to show his face? Once he had the chance, he immediately ran away. Afterward, before Enchanting's luck arrived, Xiao Hua had already unleashed his might. The entire Bai Qingyu was engulfed in the flames of war. Enchanting, who had a nascent soul spirit body, suffered even more. He didn't dare to think about running into any human cultivators. He only wanted to escape from the chaotic heaven-earth origin chi. Enchanting's luck was naturally bad. He had just escaped from the battle when he was immediately discovered by some demonic beasts. Although Enchanting could kill some of the demonic beasts, there were countless demonic beasts in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. His nascent soul spirit body was constantly dissipating. The aura of the spirit body was the best food for demonic beasts. How could he escape from the pursuit of those savage demonic beasts? In just a day, Enchanting's nascent soul spirit body was on the verge of collapse. His primordial spirit had also been devoured greatly. Feng Wu's ability to summon the power of the stars was truly a feast for all the demonic beasts in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. However, for Enchanting, who had a nascent soul spirit body, it was tantamount to a monstrous calamity. Not to mention, his spirit body was even more devastated under the impact of the starlight beam. His damaged primordial spirit became increasingly blurry. He increasingly didn't know where he should escape to and how he should escape. Under the brilliance of the starlight beam, those demonic beasts were several times more excited than if they had eaten countless demonic herbs. Even if Enchanting went deep underground, he still wouldn't be able to escape from their pursuit. Just like that, Enchanting flew to the left side of Xiaohua. However, the moment Xiaohua discovered him, the weasel-like demonic beast spat out demonic aura. This demonic aura was equally powerful in this extraordinary night. It actually produced a hook-like brilliance of the starlight beam. When this brilliance landed, Enchanting's nascent soul spirit body was pinned down. No matter how Enchanting urged his nascent soul, he couldn't escape. A.O. Seeing that the demonic beast in front of them had succeeded, the demonic beasts closest to them became even more excited. They let out a roar and spat out demonic aura, preparing to share the delicious food in their hands. Enchanting, who was already on the verge of death, still had some instincts. After sensing the danger, he didn't hesitate at all. His nascent soul spat out a strand of silver blood. Within the blood, only a piece of the fan remained. With a shwa sound, his nascent soul spirit body was pulled away by the demonic aura of the demonic beast. The remaining 40% of his nascent soul spirit body escaped once again. Unfortunately, even so, Enchanting only flew a few hundred feet before the demonic beast that had spat out demonic aura caught up. The demonic aura firmly sucked Enchanting in. You're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.